Chapter 721. Rampant Arrogance, Netherworld Ghost Claw, Lu Qing appears. Within the holy city, Meng Dian felt the countless gazes focused on him. At the beginning, he felt considerable pressure. But as his cultivation technique operated, and waves emanated from a treasure within him, a trace of black aura surfaced in his eyes, barely noticeable to others. A surge of defiance suddenly arose in his heart. His body trembled, and his momentum erupted once more, even more fierce than before. First Saint Master, what skill and deep calculation! You say everything is for the sake of the world's people. But in the end, you just want to use some kind of ban to imprison the world's cultivators, to maintain your holy mountain's rule. For over 1,000 years, the world has continued to be controlled by your holy mountain long enough. Under your oppressive might, all innate realm cultivators are shackled, their minds deprived of freedom. Now, finally, the world is changing, spiritual energy is recovering. It is the best time for us cultivators to practice freely and break through bravely. But you three old fools still wish to restrain us. If our Guiyuan sect truly agrees to your terms, wouldn't we just become accomplices to the tyranny? Today, our Guiyuan sect will represent fellow cultivators of the world, completely breaking free from your three old fools' control. Your holy mountain will have to give up this position as the leader of the righteous. Meng Dian's body emanated a raging aura, his gaze cold and stern, closely fixing on the three Saint Masters. The next moment, a gray light appeared in his hand, directly striking at the three Saint Masters. What? Everyone was stunned. No one expected Meng Dian to suddenly take action. And judging by the power of the gray light, it was clearly no longer a mere probing, but a full-fledged killing strike. Even the three Saint Masters were amazed. They seemed equally surprised that Meng Dian, who was just caught in a predicament, would actually engage in battle directly. However, although Meng Dian's shot was abrupt, nearly a sneak attack, the three Saint Masters' response was not slow in the slightest. Almost at the moment the gray light was emitted, the first Saint Master had already cast a spell, enveloping the front of the three with a soil-yellow light screen. Just as the soil-yellow light screen emerged, the gray light collided upon it. Instantly, the yellow light screen quaked violently. Cracks appeared. It showed signs of being unable to withstand the gray light. The third Saint Master noticed. His gaze condensed, drawing his long sword from his waist, slashing a sharp sword light onto the gray light. Boom! The sword light clashed with the gray light, releasing a powerful energy, causing the surrounding atmosphere to explode, generating a fierce whirlwind on the stone platform. Thankfully, the massive stone platform had the mystical array power protecting it. Otherwise, just this collision might have shattered the stone platform, sending rocks flying. And this scene further astonished everyone. All Golden Core realm cultivators simultaneously narrowed their eyes. Meng Dian's attack actually required two Saint Masters to jointly counter it. Was his technique really that formidable, or were the three Saint Masters' Dharma bodies too weak? Mr. Meng, it seems you're planning to forego reasoning. The third Saint Master's gaze grew cold and tight. Ha! Reasoning? A stronger fist is reasoning. You three old monsters. This world has been dominated by you long enough. Now it's time to give up your position. If you don't know what's good for you, I'll destroy your useless Dharma bodies, and see if you can still take a step beyond the holy mountain. Throwing out a casual gray light that left two Saint Masters struggling to cope, Meng Dian's confidence surged further. His expression grew increasingly arrogant. Destroy our Dharma bodies? If you have the ability, go ahead and try. The third Saint Master, being a strong character, couldn't hold back upon hearing Meng Dian's words. His sword intent began to turn frigid, with cold aura appearing around him. Refusing a toast only to drink a forfeit. Old fool, your time has passed. Prepare to die. Seeing the three old fools still stubborn, Meng Dian immediately wasted no more words. In his hand, another gray light formed, shooting forward. However, this time the gray light was much larger than before, its power several times mightier. Wherever it passed, Even the atmosphere turned gray, forming a distinctive trajectory. Here it comes. The third Saint Master, witnessing this, showed no weakness, gathering all his sword intent into the treasure sword in his hand. A dazzling sword light was slashed out, greeting the gray light. Wherever the sword light reached, cold aura emitted heavily, displaying the extraordinariness of this sword. But in the next moment, the third Saint Master's expression changed. How is this possible? His sword light instantly cut into the gray light. But unlike the previous collision, this time, his sword light couldn't extinguish the gray light. On the contrary, the gray light quickly engulfed it, almost visibly dissipating and dissolving. Then, the gray light that devoured and dissolved the sword light expanded slightly, continuing to rush toward the third Saint Master. Seeing it about to strike the third Saint Master, a soil-yellow light screen appeared, enveloping him. Simultaneously, a green light also fell onto the gray light. It was the first Saint Master and second Saint Master sensing the danger and assisting. Sizzle! The green light met the gray light, as if cold water fell onto a boiling oil pan, instantly boiling. Just like the third Saint Master's sword light, quickly being dissolved. However, although it dissolved the green light, this time the gray light didn't expand, instead shrunk by half. Chapter 722. Ultimately, it fell onto that earth-yellow light curtain. Although it also shattered it with cracks, it was finally blocked. However, this scene almost made all the powerful beings present widen their eyes with surprise. Even those strong in the Golden Core realm were no exception, because they had already seen it. The power of that sword by the third Saint Master just now was no less than theirs. In other words, even if it was not the true form that came, this sword of the third Saint Master still achieved the true level of the Golden Core realm. Even the spells performed by the first and second Saint Masters afterward were equally extraordinary, also spells of the Golden Core realm. Yet, the three Saint Masters attacked simultaneously, only to barely block Meng Dian's attack in front of them. This result was beyond everyone's expectations. Even the numerous Golden Core realm powerhouses gasped, their faces filled with astonishment. What exactly was that gray light to possess such terrifying power? And Meng Dian, when did he cultivate such divine skills? Our great elder is mighty. In contrast to the shock of other sects, the disciples of the Guiyuan sect cheered. Earlier, when the first Saint Master had them in words, they were quite fearful, afraid that if one great elder did not respond well, their Guiyuan sect's reputation would suffer and be ridiculed by the world. Unexpectedly, the great elder was so valiant that even with the combined efforts of the three Saint Masters, they almost met with defeat. With such a strong backing, what did they have to fear about being ridiculed by the world? Perhaps after today, the entire world will hold their Guiyuan sect in awe. That gray light seems a bit off. Amid the cheers of Guiyuan sect disciples, the white-haired old Taoist from Qingyang Temple shuddered and stared intently at Meng Dian. The gray light used by Meng Dian just now gave him an extremely unsettling feeling. It seemed like something extremely terrifying. Old man, I didn't think you still had some tricks up your sleeve. Meng Dian was somewhat surprised to see his gray light being blocked by the first Saint Master and others. But quickly, he gathered his surprise and sneered. But do you think just blocking this strike is enough? What happened just now was only a warm-up. If you remain obstinate, don't blame me for destroying your three Dharma bodies and exterminating along with your three original divine souls. As his words fell, Meng Dian's body slowly floated up. Dense gray energy surged from his body, slowly forming a ferocious gray ghost claw in front of him. As soon as this ghost claw formed, its terrifying power swept across the entire scene. Not only did it make other powerful beings' hearts tremble, almost unable to stand under the pressure. Even those in the Golden Core realm shuddered, feeling a wave of unease surging from deep within their hearts. Their spiritual sense of the Golden Core realm told them that the gray ghost claw condensed by Meng Dian was enough to threaten their lives. Netherworld Ghost Claw? Upon seeing the gray ghost claw condensed by Meng Dian, the white-haired old Taoist from Qingyang Temple could no longer remain calm. He suddenly stood up, staring fixated at that gray ghost claw, because he finally recognized the origin of this ghost claw. How does this ghost claw look so much like the one recorded in our ancestral sect's secret scriptures? The Golden Core realm in the Cloudwater secret realm also shuddered at this moment, staring at that gray ghost claw. This gray energy and this claw, I think I've seen it in our Cold Water Palace's secret scriptures. Over at the Cold Water Palace, Han Lingshuang also had a thoughtful expression. The deep foundation of the three great secret places, the ancient scriptures passed down from ancient times, all revealed a hint of the origin of the techniques used by Meng Dian. However, others could not recognize it. Even the three Saint Masters did not know the origin of that ghost claw, but they could feel the terrifying nature of the ghost claw condensed by Meng Dian, the emanating aura that made one's heart and spirit tremble, giving them the feeling that even if they truly were to come personally, they might not be able to resist it. Old man, I ask you, are you far from bowing down and submitting to our Guyuan sect? Meng Dian hovered in the air, like an evil god, exuding malevolent energy. Meng Dian, you've cultivated such an evil technique and still wish to become the leader of the righteous. Has practicing your evil technique muddled your brain? The third Saint Master was unafraid and ridiculed again. Haha, what evil technique or not, as long as it's power, there is no distinction between righteousness and evil. Very well, you three old guys, since you are unwilling to submit, then die for me. As long as I eliminate you three obstacles, I won't believe anyone would dare defy my Guiyuan sect. Having said that, Meng Dian activated the spell in his hand, and the gray ghost claw in front of him suddenly expanded more than tenfold. Transforming into a giant claw dozens of feet in size, it grabbed at the first Saint Master and them. As the giant claw descended, the gray energy on it transformed endlessly, condensing numerous skeletons and evil spirits, rolling and changing. Just watching it was enough to make one's heart skip a beat, terrifying to the extreme. This formidable might directly changed the expressions of those in the Golden Core realm. They immediately understood that the three Saint Masters were in danger, because even with their strength, they feared they could not resist the power of this gigantic ghost claw. The three Saint Masters, now merely descended with Dharma bodies, were even less likely to escape. Seeing that the Dharma bodies of the three Saint Masters were about to be destroyed by the terrifying ghost claw. At this moment, a sharp-minded Golden Core realm suddenly discovered that the faces of the three Saint Masters had no trace of panic. Just as doubts arose in his mind, at the next moment, his gaze froze. He saw a figure who had unknowingly appeared quietly in front of the three Saint Masters, standing with hands behind his back with a calm expression. Facing the terrifying gray ghost claw that covered the sky, he merely whispered a single word. Stop! With this word, something unbelievable happened. Only that terrifyingly powerful gray ghost claw suddenly froze midair, as if it had solidified in the air, not only unable to descend a bit. Even the swirling, changing gray energy on the claw was completely frozen, without a trace of movement. But they could feel the terrifying nature of the ghost claw condensed by Meng Dian, the emanating aura that made one's heart and spirit tremble, giving them the feeling that even if they truly were to come personally, they might not be able to resist it. Old man, I ask you, are you far from bowing down and submitting to our Guyuan sect? Meng Dian hovered in the air, like an evil god, exuding malevolent energy. Meng Dian, you've cultivated such an evil technique and still wish to become the leader of the righteous. Has practicing your evil technique muddled your brain? The third Saint Master was unafraid and ridiculed again. Haha, what evil technique or not, as long as it's power, there is no distinction between righteousness and evil. Very well, you three old guys, since you are unwilling to submit, then die for me. As long as I eliminate you three obstacles, I won't believe anyone would dare defy my Guiyuan sect. Having said that, Meng Dian activated the spell in his hand, and the gray ghost claw in front of him suddenly expanded more than tenfold. Transforming into a giant claw dozens of feet in size, it grabbed at the first Saint Master and them. As the giant claw descended, The gray energy on it transformed endlessly, condensing numerous skeletons and evil spirits, rolling and changing. Just watching it was enough to make one's heart skip a beat, terrifying to the extreme. This formidable might directly changed the expressions of those in the Golden Core realm. They immediately understood that the three Saint Masters were in danger, because even with their strength, they might have difficulty resisting the power of that gigantic ghost claw. And now, with the three Saint Masters being mere Dharma bodies descending, it seemed even less likely they could escape, as the Dharma bodies of the three Saint Masters seemed destined to be crushed by the fearsome ghost claw. At this moment, a sharp-minded Golden Core realm suddenly realized that the faces of the three Saint Masters were not fraught with panic. Just as a doubt arose in his mind, the next moment his gaze fixed. He saw a mysterious figure at some point, standing high above, with hands behind his back and an incomparably calm expression. Facing the terrifying, sky-covering gray ghost claw, the figure lightly uttered a single word. "Stop!" Suddenly, something incredible happened. The terrifying and powerful gray ghost claw was instantly frozen in midair. It seemed as if it had solidified, with not a breath of gray energy escaping or moving. Chapter 723, Lu Qing's Dominance, suppressing the entire scene. A cloth-robed youth suddenly appeared, and dispelled the terrifying and awe-inspiring gray Qi ghost claw. This scene naturally left all the powerhouses present feeling extremely shocked. Keep in mind, the gray Qi ghost claw that Meng Dian just unleashed even made many Golden Core realm cultivators shudder uncontrollably, unable to resist. Yet, unexpectedly, it was completely dispelled and extinguished by the cloth-robed youth with such effortless ease. No one could even tell how he accomplished it. For a moment, everyone was staring dumbfoundedly at the cloth-robed youth. Some of the more quick-witted people had already guessed his identity, but most still hadn't come to their senses. Just then, all present saw three Saint Masters suddenly bowing together and offering a salute to Lu Qing. "Thank you, Lu Xiaodao, for stepping in to help. Saint Masters, it seems you've run into some trouble," Lu Qing said with a smile. "Indeed, relying only on the three of us won't work. We must trouble Lu Xiaodao instead." The first Saint Master shook his head, sighing somewhat. They ultimately couldn't make all the sects in the world recognize their ideals like 1,000 years ago. "Leave it to me." Lu Qing didn't refuse, nodding his head. Upon hearing the conversation between the two, everyone around them immediately understood. This cloth-robed youth right before them really is the legend. For a moment, everyone's hearts were deeply shaken, and they kept their eyes fixed on Lu Qing. They had long heard of his formidable reputation, but for most it was the first time they were seeing him in person. Lu Qing turned and looked at Meng Dian in midair, his gaze calm. "Meng Dian of the Guiyuan sect? Your Guiyuan sect intends to replace the Holy Mountain and take the position as the head of the righteous path." Feeling Lu Qing's gaze on him, Meng Dian's body suddenly went stiff. Even his heart and spirit mana were somewhat disrupted in flow. There's no choice. The reputation of the man before them might not be overly prominent across the world. After all, most cultivators aren't even qualified to know his name. But among top sects, it's incredibly renowned. For this one person is now the only one in the world with the terrifying capability to kill Golden Core realm cultivators. And just now, how effortlessly he extinguished his gray Qi ghost claw. This too demonstrated that his strength had indeed reached an unfathomable, inscrutable level. However, despite his immense fear of Lu Qing, standing before so many powerhouses, Meng Dian forced his heart and spirit to calm. He managed to pull out a reluctant smile. "You must be Lu Qing Taoist. I am Meng Dian, great elder of Guiyuan sect. Greetings, Mr. Lu Qing." Yet Lu Qing did not wish to exchange pleasantries with him. He simply said indifferently, "You haven't answered my question yet." Meng Dian stalled, seemingly not expecting Lu Qing to be so blunt before all the world's peers. Still, he said solemnly, "You must have seen as well, the true bodies of the three Saint Masters cannot leave the Holy Mountain, not fit in the current world situation to serve as the head of the righteous path. For the sake of our righteous path, both sentiment and reason dictate they should step down and let worthy ones take their place. Otherwise, with just the strength of the three Saint Masters' Dharma bodies, even I cannot defeat them. How could they intimidate the wicked men of the world and convince all of the world's peers of their authority? So you believe your Guiyuan sect is qualified to assume this position? Then, Lu Qing said, half smiling. Capable individuals emerge in every generation. Naturally, my Guiyuan sect doesn't dare claim to surpass all sects. But I'm still saying the Holy Mountain is no longer qualified to be the head of the righteous path. Meng Dian stated righteously. And what if I say it is qualified? Lu Qing said indifferently. Meng Dian stalled. He stared at Lu Qing, at a loss for words. But Lu Qing continued, "You seem to greatly esteem the idea of the strong reigning supreme, so now I say I recognize the Holy Mountain as the head of the righteous path. Do you dare oppose it? Or say, does anyone here wish to oppose?" This caused not only Meng Dian but also all the powerhouses from other sects to be stupefied, dumbfoundedly staring at the cloth-robed youth before them. No one expected he would so straightforwardly support the Holy Mountain. It seems no one opposes. Lu Qing glanced around, seeing everyone silent, smiled and said, "Mr. Lu Qing, so are you agreeing with the methods of the three Saint Masters, aiming to constrain and restrain all of the world's cultivators? If you do this, aren't you afraid of becoming the enemy of the entire world's cultivators?" At this moment, Meng Dian finally couldn't restrain himself and spoke. Becoming the enemy of the world? Upon hearing this, Lu Qing shook his head. It seems that you may have some misconceptions about your own strength. What gave you all the assumption that you have the qualification to be my enemy? Upon finishing, a strand of aura emerged from Lu Qing's body. In the next moment, everyone felt a heaviness upon themselves, an indescribable terrifying pressure crushing their divine souls and physical bodies. And that pressure was growing increasingly heavy, as if a boundless giant mountain were descending from the sky, inch by inch. Constrain and restrain? Just asking you to abide by a few prohibitions. Hereafter, in combat, try to avoid areas where ordinary civilians gather. Do not senselessly slaughter. Yet, in your eyes, it has become restraint upon you. A bunch of nonsensical beings, even cultivation went to the dogs. You believe you've cultivated a little spiritual might, mastered a bit of power. Chapter 724. Even if one steps into the immortal Tao and can be placed above other humans, can they be freely killed? Do not forget you were not born with power either, but cultivated from ordinary people. These past few years, because of the disputes stirred by you useless lot, how many common folks have been displaced, suffering without livelihood? It is only because the three Saint Masters are merciful, wanting to give you a chance. This is why this holy gathering is convened, to deliberate anew a way to maintain worldly stability. Otherwise, according to my view, just kill all of you lot. The world would immediately be less than half as chaotic, and the common people wouldn't need to live so hard. Lu Qing spoke each word with increasing coldness. The aura around him grew increasingly terrifying. The silhouette of a red ancient and simple big cauldron gradually appeared behind him. Among all the powerhouses present, except for a few he spared, the others, whether in the innate realm, foundation establishment realm, or even golden core true men, were all suffocated by the boundless might he emanated, hardly able to breathe, could only look in sheer fear at Lu Qing, who seemed like a deity. Especially the golden core realms, they were even more incredulous, because they discovered they couldn't even muster a shred of strength. Whether the divine soul power or mana within them, were completely suppressed to death by this terrifying pressure. Even more frightening to them were Lu Qing's words. From his tone, he intends to slay them all here. It sounds absurd, yet at this moment, no one dares question if Lu Qing has such capability. The current scene already says it all. Lu Qing, with just his aura, has managed to suppress the entire arena. Even the golden core true men are unable to move. As the killing intent emanating from Lu Qing grew heavier, the fear in everyone's hearts intensified. Yet, they were suppressed, unable even to open their mouths to plead for mercy. Upon realizing this, many people's eyes reflected despair. Finally, as some were about to be crushed alive by Lu Qing's aura, suddenly, the first Saint Master sighed and stepped out. Lu Xiaodao, that's enough. Spare them this time. Continue this way. I fear someone might not withstand your aura and suffer heart and spirit collapse to death. Saint Master Senior, you are still too merciful. Lu Qing shook his head. But he still heeded the first Saint Master's advice and withdrew his aura. Bang! 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 As Lu Qing retracted his aura, on the massive stone platform, countless people could no longer hold steady, collapsing to the ground. Sweating profusely, gasping for air, faces full of post-disaster relief. Look at Lu Qing with eyes filled with fear. Just now, they truly believed they would be crushed to death by that terrifying aura. Respected one. On the cold water palace side, everyone's gaze at Lu Qing brimmed with indescribable admiration. Earlier, the cold water palace was one of the few sect forces spared by Lu Qing without being subjected to oppression. Thus, they saw more clearly how Lu Qing, with mere aura, managed to completely suppress all the powerhouses present. True to the name, indeed the number one under heaven. At Qingyang Temple's point, the elderly Taoist, with both hair and beard white, wiped sweat off his forehead, looking at Lu Qing in the center with a calm demeanor, feeling apprehensive. Qingyang Temple didn't have the luck like the cold water palace, likewise shrouded by Lu Qing's might just now. Even he, under Lu Qing's aura oppressive force, was incapable of moving. Regardless of how he urged the magic power golden core within, couldn't break through that terrifying suppressive force. The originally confident elderly Taoist was humbled. But this made the temple master of Qingyang Temple realize. Before Lu Qing, he is just as vulnerable as anyone else. This one is forever beyond what we can provoke. At Cloudwater's secret realm, the Golden Core Realm's heart was filled with shock. Upon coming this time, he carried sect treasure to guard against any eventuality. If any unexpected situations arose at the holy gathering, he could use the treasure to ensure the disciples' safety. But moments ago, under Lu Qing's aura oppression, he was horrified to find that he couldn't use the treasure within him at all. No matter how he urged, couldn't escape from his body, firmly pressed within the Dantian. By now, he understood Lu Qing's strength had already reached an unimaginable level. Not merely a single treasure, even if he carried a legendary spiritual artifact, before Lu Qing, there's no chance of victory. No, not no chance of victory. Fearing still unable to move before Lu Qing. At this moment, this Golden Core Realm immediately categorized Lu Qing as a terrifying existence their Cloudwater secret realm could never provoke. Even if all three secret realms were the same, let alone other sect forces. In their hearts, Lu Qing had become the most revered existence. Look at Lu Qing with eyes filled with fear. Just now, they truly believed they would be crushed to death by that terrifying aura. Respected one. On the cold water palace side, everyone's gaze at Lu Qing brimmed with indescribable admiration. Earlier, the cold water palace was one of the few sect forces spared by Lu Qing without being subjected to oppression. Thus, they saw more clearly how Lu Qing, with mere aura, managed to completely suppress all the powerhouses present. True to the name, indeed the number one under heaven. At Qingyang Temple's point, the elderly Taoist, with both hair and beard white, wiped sweat off his forehead, looking at Lu Qing in the center with a calm demeanor, feeling apprehensive. Qingyang Temple didn't have the luck like the cold water palace, likewise shrouded by Lu Qing's might just now. Even he, under Lu Qing's aura oppressive force, was incapable of moving. Regardless of how he urged the magic power golden core within, couldn't break through that terrifying suppressive force. The originally confident elderly Taoist was humbled. But this made the temple master of Qingyang Temple realize. Before Lu Qing, he is just as vulnerable as anyone else. This one is forever beyond what we can provoke. At Cloudwater's secret realm, the Golden Core Realm's heart was filled with shock. Upon coming this time, he carried sect treasure to guard against any eventuality. If any unexpected situations arose at the holy gathering, he could use the treasure to ensure the disciples' safety. But moments ago, under Lu Qing's aura oppression, he was horrified to find that he couldn't use the treasure within him at all. No matter how he urged, couldn't escape from his body, firmly pressed within the Dantian. By now, he understood Lu Qing's strength had already reached an unimaginable level. Not merely a single treasure, even if he carried a legendary spiritual artifact, before Lu Qing, there's no chance of victory. No chance of victory. Fearing still unable to move before Lu Qing. At this moment, this golden core realm immediately categorized Lu Qing as a terrifying existence their cloud water secret realm could never provoke. Even if all three secret realms were the same, let alone other sect, in their hearts, Lu Qing had become the most revered existence. Chapter 725. Depriving Magical Treasure, Netherworld Old Ghost. Watching as the sinister gray demonic claw, emanating an evil aura, was gradually extracted from Meng Dian's body. Everyone who witnessed this scene felt a chill down their spine. This thing, at first glance, was clearly not a righteous object. Is it possible that the artifact Meng Dian wielded just now was this evil magical treasure? Even though Meng Dian resisted with all his might, how could he withstand Lu Qing's power? Soon, the gray demonic claw was completely removed from his Dantian by Lu Qing. With the gray demonic claw extracted, Meng Dian's aura instantly plummeted, and a look of despair flashed in his eyes. But at this moment, no one had the time to pay him any attention, because everyone's gaze had been captivated by that gray demonic claw. They saw that once the gray demonic claw was extracted by Lu Qing, it hovered midair but did not settle down peacefully. Instead, it began to wriggle frantically, as if it were alive. The gray energy on the claw morphed into layers of sinister skulls, and invisible screams emanated from it, piercing through the divine soul, sending chills down everyone's spine. It was unimaginable where Meng Dian had found the courage to refine such an evil object into his body. However, no matter how much the gray demonic claw struggled and twisted, under Lu Qing's power, all was in vain. It was firmly suppressed, unable to do anything. The Netherworld Ghost Claw. So it truly is this evil treasure. At this moment, an elderly voice sounded, tinged with surprise. The crowd, upon hearing it, turned to look. The speaker was an old Taoist, clad in a Taoist robe, exuding an immortal aura, with white hair and beard. They all gasped in shock, because they recognized the location as Qingyang Temple, one of the three great secret places. Evidently, this must be a Taoist master from Qingyang Temple. This time at the Holy Gathering, the three great secret places had been very low-key. But being low-key does not mean everyone will ignore them. Now seeing this ethereal old Taoist speak, everyone felt a shiver inside. Oh, Senior knows the origin of this object. Lu Qing looked at the elderly Taoist. Meanwhile, he also nodded slightly in acknowledgement to Yangming Taoist standing beside the old Taoist. This nod made Yangming Taoist feel a bit excited. He didn't expect Lu Qing to actually greet him. The Netherworld Ghost Claw is the name of the evil treasure in your hand, young friend. It's the signature magical treasure of an evil path primordial spirit expert from the previous cultivation era. In the cultivation world of the last cultivation era, it was also a well-known evil spiritual artifact. An evil spiritual artifact from the previous cultivation era. Hearing this name, everyone was shocked at heart and spirit. For so long the world had been reviving, stories of the previous cultivation era were no longer secrets. Those who could attend the holy gathering were all from reputable and powerful sects, naturally having some knowledge of this. Upon hearing that the gray demonic claw was an evil treasure passed down from the previous cultivation era, and that it was also a legendary spiritual artifact, how could they not be shocked? At the same time, they finally understood why Meng Dian was so strong. It turns out he possessed such an evil spiritual artifact. Young master, this is indeed the signature magical treasure of an evil path primordial spirit named Netherworld Old Ghost from the ancient immortal cultivation era. At this moment, Yen also communicated to Lu Qing's divine soul. Lu Qing nodded slightly but still presented another question to the old Taoist. An evil spiritual artifact from the previous cultivation era? If this is so, why did it pass down? There are rumors that towards the end of the last cultivation era, all primordial spirit great powers left this world. Senior, is it possible that the original owner of this evil treasure didn't make it onto the Breaking Realm ship? Lu Qing could naturally use his superpower to probe the origins of the Grey Demonic Claw. But the informational notes his superpower could detect were ultimately limited, unable to clarify all the details. Regarding this matter, there are indeed records in the ancient texts passed down in our Qingyang Temple, the old Taoist said. Towards the end of the ancient immortal cultivation era, indeed, many primordial spirit great powers in the cultivation world boarded the Breaking Realm ships and left this world. Even those from the demon sects followed them out. But some primordial spirit great powers did not make it onto the Breaking Realm ships. Among them was the owner of this netherworld ghost claw, a primordial spirit great power named Yuming Elder. This Yuming Elder was an evil path loose cultivator primordial spirit great power from the ancient immortal cultivation era, solitary, disliking interacting with others. Moreover, he was cruel by nature, finding pleasure in tormenting living creatures, feared by everyone in the cultivation world as a demon. These evil path loose cultivator primordial spirits, most of whom were unencumbered and solitary. Thus, their actions were even more extreme than those of the demon sects. This caused the righteous immortal sects to loathe them, but they were also wary, not daring to offend them too much without absolute confidence. Upon hearing this, everyone nodded, feeling understanding. Even for these righteous sects with vast resources and vast influences, when faced with powerful cultivators who were unencumbered, they generally wouldn't excessively offend them. Otherwise, once vengeance is brewed, it might be a matter of life and death feud. Even if they were able to kill their opponent, they might suffer significant losses themselves, making it more trouble than it's worth. Thinking of this, someone inconspicuously glanced at Lu Qing. Just like the suspended mountain, being one of the 4 great secret places, with a long-standing heritage and deep foundation. In the end, wasn't it also destroyed because it offended this one, and even the secret realm was annihilated? But this is only under usual circumstances. While everyone was lost in thought, the white-haired old Taoist continued to speak. Chapter 726. At the end of the last cultivation era, the situation began to change. At that time, in order to craft the Breaking Realm ship, many primordial spirit great powers united and started to gather precious materials throughout the world. Among them, who suggested it remains unknown. But eventually, many righteous primordial spirit great powers began to join forces. They started exterminating and settling accounts with those loose evil cultivators with primordial spirits. Ultimately, the vast majority of loose evil cultivators with primordial spirits were slain under the alliance of righteous sections. Their inherited magical treasures and treasures were seized to refine the Breaking Realm ship. Only a very few loose evil cultivators either used secret techniques to escape or hid in advance and disappeared without a trace. Among those few, there was Yuming Elder. Rumor has it, this Yuming Elder was besieged by several righteous primordial spirit cultivators by the South Sea but accidentally escaped into the deep sea using an evil technique, disappearing without a trace. The deep sea is the territory of the Sea Clan, so those righteous primordial spirit cultivators did not pursue deeply. Now it seems, Yuming Elder eventually perished, and his famous magical treasure somehow ended up in the hands of Mr. Meng. The old Taoist looked at Meng Dian, who was now pale and weak. Clearly, the gray ghost claw was forcibly robbed from his dantian by Lu Qing, causing him great harm. But in the eyes of the old Taoist, there was no sign of pity. Instead, there was a hint of coldness. This netherworld ghost claw is an evil spiritual artifact. This gray energy is condensed from the souls of countless living creatures. Mr. Meng could refine it to this extent. He must have refined quite a few living creatures, right? Once these words were spoken, everyone's heart and spirit trembled, and they all looked towards Meng Dian. Meng Dian shuddered, his face turned paler. He struggled, Old Taoist, don't slander me. This magical treasure was obtained by accident. I worked hard to refine it. I've never harmed anyone. However, regarding his explanation, the old Taoist did not say anything, but still looked at him coldly. And all the strong ones recalled the evil aura emitted when Meng Dian previously used the terrifying ghost claw, and couldn't help but believe the old Taoist's words. At that time, Meng Dian didn't have a trace of a righteous cultivator. He was simply a demon. Feeling the gazes around him, Meng Dian's expression became noticeably flustered. Just as he wanted to argue, Lu Qing suddenly spoke. The predecessor said that Yuming Elder has perished, but I think not necessarily. What are you saying, friend? The old Taoist was shocked, looking at Lu Qing eagerly. Others also turned to look at Lu Qing. They saw Lu Qing looking at the gray ghost claw he had been suppressing the whole time. Do you agree, Netherworld Old Ghost? Netherworld Old Ghost? Within this gray ghost claw, everyone's gaze focused on the gray ghost claw. Then, they noticed, the gray ghost claw that was previously struggling and twisting had now become extremely quiet, calmly suspended in midair without any movement. While everyone was puzzled, Lu Qing smiled slightly. Since you don't want to show up, then just die. After speaking, behind Lu Qing, the phantom of an ancient fire-red big cauldron appeared. Then, the mouth of the cauldron opened and sucked the gray ghost claw directly into it. Countless transparent flames emerged in the phantom of the big cauldron, encircled the gray ghost claw, burning it. With Lu Qing's current cultivation, the Nanming leaving fire he summoned was terrifying. Even without using the true body of the leaving fire tripod, the power of the flames couldn't be withstood by ordinary spiritual artifacts. Moreover, the Netherworld Ghost Claw was a kind of evil spiritual artifact that was inherently restrained by the leaving fire tripod. Plus, it had once been severely damaged and had not yet returned to its peak state. Burned by the Nanming leaving fire, the gray energy emitted sizzling sounds, accompanied by miserable screams, being burned into nothingness. Listening to the Netherworld Ghost Claw screaming like a living creature, enough to sting the divine soul, everyone couldn't help but change color. This evil magical treasure was indeed extremely strange. Just looking at it made one shiver. As the Nanming leaving fire continued to burn, the amount of gray energy on the Netherworld Ghost Claw rapidly decreased. Soon, revealing its true form, a gray hideous bone claw. Just as the Nanming leaving fire continued to surge, to refine the bone claw. Finally, the existence hiding deep within the bone claw couldn't bear it anymore. Suddenly, a large amount of gray energy surged out from the bone claw, temporarily resisting the burn of the Nanming leaving fire. Among them, a part of the gray energy transformed into a gloomy ghost face, staring stubbornly at Lu Qing. Kid, don't push your luck. Netherworld Old Ghost, you finally decided to appear? Lu Qing's heart and spirit moved, temporarily stopping the Nanming leaving fire, looking at the gray ghost face calmly. And the strong ones around were already dumbfounded. Was there really another strange existence within this ghost claw? As for Meng Dian, he was completely stunned, with a face full of disbelief. He couldn't believe that within this magical treasure, he had controlled for a long time and fully refined. There was always another hidden consciousness inside it. Kid, how did you discover me? The gray ghost face stared at Lu Qing, unable to understand how it was exposed. He thought he had hidden deep enough. Even that stupid Meng had not noticed his presence. Yet the kid in front of him could detect his location in an instant and directly reveal his origins. This made the gray ghost face both shocked and absurd. What troubled him even more was that the opponent also controlled another spiritual artifact, the one that could restrain him. Nanming leaving fire? Kid, I didn't expect the leaving fire tripod of the Li Hua sect to fall into your hands. Did you inherit the legacy of the leaving fire tripod? It seems you, old ghost, haven't recognized the current situation. Lu Qing shook his head. Suddenly, flames in the big cauldron phantom churned again, burning towards the gray ghost face. Do you think you now qualify to question me? The greatly enhanced Nanming leaving fire burned the gray ghost face, instantly creating a large hole. That voice couldn't help but utter a painful cry, forced to summon more gray energy to resist the burn. But Nanming leaving fire was the nemesis of gray energy. No matter how much gray energy was summoned, it was directly burned away, turned into nothingness. Watching the gray ghost face burn smaller and smaller, about to disappear completely, that voice finally couldn't bear it anymore and hurriedly shouted, "Stop! Stop! I admit defeat." The Nanming leaving fire paused but did not dissipate, still surrounding the ghost claw, showing signs of attacking at any moment. The ghost face gray energy, upon seeing this, became even more gloomy. This damn thing, why did that spiritual artifact happen to fall into this kid's hands? With other spiritual artifacts, he had ways to resist. Lu Qing shook his head. Suddenly, flames in the big cauldron phantom churned again, burning towards the gray ghost face. Do you think you now qualify to question me? The greatly enhanced Nanming leaving fire burned the gray ghost face, instantly creating a large hole. That voice couldn't help but utter a painful cry, forced to summon more gray energy to resist the burn. But Nanming leaving fire was the nemesis of gray energy. No matter how much gray energy was summoned, it was directly burned away, turned into nothingness. Watching the gray ghost face burn smaller and smaller, about to disappear completely, that voice finally couldn't bear it anymore and hurriedly shouted, "Stop! Stop! I admit defeat." The Nanming leaving fire paused but did not dissipate, still surrounding the ghost claw, showing signs of attacking at any moment. The ghost face gray energy, upon seeing this damn thing, why did that spiritual artifact happen to fall into this kid's hands? With other spiritual artifacts, he had ways to resist. The ghost face gray energy, upon seeing this, became even more gloomy. This damn thing, why did that spiritual artifact happen to fall into this kid's hands? With other spiritual artifacts, he had ways to resist. Chapter 727. Unmoved, publicly refining to death. The heart of the Yuming elder was truly shocked. He never expected that this young man before him not only spotted his hiding place within the spiritual artifact at a glance. Now, even his state was described without a single error. For a moment, in the eyes of the Yuming elder, Lu Qing became unfathomable. The soul-stealing technique was a secret technique that even in the ancient immortal cultivation era, only cultivators at the primordial spirit realm and above could master. Where did this boy, from an era apart, learn of such secret matters? Moreover, the Yuming elder noticed that Lu Qing used the word again just now. Could it be that he has encountered other beings who used the soul-stealing technique before? The Yuming elder looked at Lu Qing, his eyes full of suspicion and uncertainty. On the contrary, those around them were somewhat confused. After all, what Lu Qing said was still too advanced for them. "I told you, you have no right to question me." Facing the blurted question from the Yuming elder, Lu Qing did not answer him, instead speaking calmly. The Yuming elder paused, filled with anger. In the tens of thousands of years he had lived, when had he ever been treated like this? Though this boy was somewhat sinister, if it were tens of thousands of years ago, he could have squeezed him to death with one hand. Now, having fallen to such a low point, humiliated by a wet-behind-the-ears boy, how could he not be brimming with killing intent? Yet, no matter how vicious his heart, the current situation was stronger than him. So the Yuming elder forcibly suppressed the malicious energy in his heart, not acting on it, only coldly staring at Lu Qing. "This young friend, what exactly do you intend?" "What do I intend?" Lu Qing chuckled. "You, hidden within this ghost claw, secretly manipulated Meng Dian, attempting to incite a conflict among the righteous path, disturbing the world, intending to fish in troubled waters, using the chaos to refine living creatures and restore yourself. Do you think you can really deceive everyone, ghost and god alike, without being noticed?" The Yuming elder fell silent. He realized that this time he was indeed a bit reckless. In a state of incomplete recovery, he manipulated Meng Dian to seek seizing the top position of the righteous path. However, due to the uniqueness of his cultivation technique, without the aid of living souls, relying only on nature's spiritual energy, he did not know how many years or months it would take to restore his peak state. Only by thoroughly muddying the world's situation could he control Meng Dian and refine living creatures on a large scale. Thus, this time he manipulated Meng Dian to seize position at the holy meeting. Besides it being indeed a good opportunity, the more important factor stemmed from his internal arrogance. He believed with the presence of an ancient primordial spirit great power like him, controlling a group of Golden Core juniors should have been effortless. But who would have thought there would be a monster like Lu Qing around? Clearly just a wet behind the ears young man. Yet his strength was even beyond his comprehension. Moreover, he wielded the leaving fire tripod which could restrain him. This turn of events was something entirely beyond the Yuming elder's expectations. Previously, while hiding within Meng Dian's body, he had heard of Lu Qing's name and deeds. Although surprised, he still believed that no matter how heaven-defying a Golden Core Junior could be, he couldn't overturn the heavens. But who would have thought, upon truly facing Lu Qing, the other party would be so unfathomable? Young friend, your gaze is like a torch, your cultivation deep. I admire you. After a moment of silence, the Yuming elder slowly spoke. I didn't expect such a peerless figure like you to emerge so soon after the world's recovery and the spiritual energy not yet abundant. This time I admit defeat. Tell me, what will it take for you to release this wisp of my remnant soul? Whether it's cultivation techniques or treasures, I can give them to you. Old as I am, as a primordial spirit realm cultivator, the profound cultivation techniques and divine skills I know are countless. I can let you easily step into that supremely primordial spirit realm. I also know the locations of many cave mansions and how to open secret realms of ancient immortal sects. Whatever you desire, I can offer. There was a certain bewitchment in the tone of the Yuming elder. The words spoken were shocking and full of temptation. Hearing them, the surrounding strong ones all showed eagerness and their hearts surged. Even the old Taoist of firm Golden Core seemed to breathe more heavily. Only Lu Qing remained calm and composed, showing no movement of emotion. On the contrary, he looked at the gray ghostly face formed by the Yuming elder with a smile that was not a smile. With such a small amount of bewitchment technique, don't embarrass yourself by displaying it. Besides, your little cultivation technique inheritance, to me, is but superficial tricks unworthy of attention. Such words of humiliation made the Yuming elder's face change color instantly. But Lu Qing ignored him and continued. As for why I forced you out, it is actually quite simple. I just wanted to see what a primordial spirit great power from a previous cultivation era looked like. And to refine and kill you in front of everyone here. As soon as the words fell, within the illusory big cauldron, countless transparent flames rose up again, enveloping the gray ghostly face transformed by the Yuming elder, along with that gray bone claw, burning them together. Ah! The nerve of you, boy! Lu Qing's sudden change of face directly caught the Yuming elder off guard, utterly shocked and angered. But he didn't have time to rebuke anything, because he found that the Nanming leaving fire driven by Lu Qing this time was even fiercer than before. In just a few breaths, it purified his gray ghostly face, beginning to directly refine the essence of the netherworld ghost claw. The gray energy he wielded could not resist at all. The Yuming elder knew that this time Lu Qing was serious about it. Chapter 728. Immediately, he couldn't care about anything else and had to mobilize the full power of the netherworld ghost claw to resist. Otherwise, once the Nanming leaving fire penetrates the interior of the ghost claw, he would truly fall into an inescapable predicament. However, when Yuming elder fully resisted the Nanming leaving fire, he was horrified to find out. The power of the Nanming leaving fire activated by Lu Qing was far beyond his imagination. The gray energy of the netherworld ghost claw, surprisingly, had no power to resist. Just a touch, like snow meeting a red-hot iron, was quickly dissolved, burned into nothingness. Impossible. This kid is just at the Golden Core realm. So how could the Nanming leaving fire he activates be so terrifying? Yuming Elder's heart was filled with disbelief. Although he couldn't see through Lu Qing's exact strength and realm, he was certain that Lu Qing had definitely not stepped into the primordial spirit realm, because the present world had just recently resurrected. The heaven and earth rules had not yet evolved to the extent of giving birth to a primordial spirit great power. Not to mention the primordial spirit realm, even the late-stage Golden Core was impossible. But now, the power of the Nanming leaving fire activated by Lu Qing had already far exceeded what the Golden Core realm could achieve. Even compared to the primordial spirit realm, it was likely not far off. Could it be that the artifact spirit of the leaving fire tripod is still alive and has recognized this boy as its master? But even so, just a Golden Core realm should not be able to fully activate the power of a middle-grade spiritual device. Yuming Elder's mind turned sharply, but he couldn't figure it out. Seeing the gray energy stored in the Netherworld Ghost Claw about to be exhausted, while the Nanming leaving fire was poised to break through the final defense layer and truly invade, Yuming Elder was completely anxious. He let out a series of frantic howls. "Kid, are you really so ruthless, to drive me to extinction like this? The righteous and evil cannot coexist. What sentiments can I speak of with an ancient old ghost like you?" Lu Qing's gaze was icy. Not only did he not restrain the flames, but he reached out and clenched his hand. As he did so, the power of the Nanming leaving fire in the illusory big cauldron surged again, compressing violently towards the center. With a boom, the final layer of gray energy was incinerated, rushing into the interior of the Netherworld Ghost Claw. The powerful flames might directly burned through the restrictions inside, charging straight for the core.
No.
Yuming Elder did not expect that Lu Qing still had reserves. Seeing the Nanming leaving fire like a tidal wave, surging violently, Yuming Elder was truly panicked. He hurriedly shouted, "Taoist friend, have mercy. I am willing to submit. Recognize you as my master. Become your spiritual artifact." At this moment, Yuming Elder could no longer care about his ancient primordial spirit great power face, and directly begged for mercy. "A mere evil spiritual artifact, and you think you deserve to recognize me as your master?" However, facing Yuming Elder's plea for mercy, Lu Qing showed disdain. The Nanming leaving fire, already rushing into the Netherworld Ghost Claw, mercilessly broke through the core restrictions, sweeping towards the wisp of spiritual nature into which Yuming Elder had transformed. Ah! Yuming Elder had abandoned his physical body and seized the artifact spirit. Even though he survived the calamity of heavenly human 5 decays and saved his life, but he was still severely damaged, inevitably falling into slumber. Plus, during this era of spiritual energy depletion for tens of thousands of years, he never received spiritual nourishment. This prevented him from fully recovering to this day, and his divine soul was not strong. Therefore, when surrounded by the Nanming leaving fire, Yuming Elder was engulfed in boundless fear, feeling his divine soul power being quickly incinerated and disintegrated. The endless pain that pierced his heart and spirit couldn't suppress the panic within Yuming Elder. He screamed in terror, "Mercy, young friend, mercy!" But in return, there was even more surging Nanming leaving fire. Feeling Lu Qing's intent to kill, Yuming Elder was utterly in despair. At this moment, infinite regret arose in his heart. He shouldn't have been too hasty. He should have continued to lie low and slowly regain his power. In doing so, even if the recovery was slower, he would not have ended up in such a state. After tens of thousands of years of surviving so miserably, it ended in complete annihilation of body and soul. "Ah, I hate, kid, you'll die a miserable death." As the last trace of spiritual nature was incinerated, Yuming Elder let out an extremely shrill curse. Then there was no more sound, and in endless regret and unwillingness, he completely perished. Feeling Yuming Elder's disappearance, Lu Qing retracted his spell, and the surging Nanming leaving fire gradually dissipated. The illusionary ancient red big cauldron also vanished. Only a white bone claw remained in midair. Lu Qing reached out his hand and took the white bone claw in hand. At this moment, the bone claw had completely transformed compared to before. Not only was it no longer ferocious, but it also exuded a jade-like quality, looking as though it had a sacred feel to it. Young master, this bone claw was originally an exotic treasure the Netherworld Old Ghost acquired from who knows where. After tempering it with evil techniques for countless years, it became the Netherworld Ghost Claw. Now that you have refined it with Nanming leaving fire, all the evil energy has dissipated, and all guilt is gone. It has probably become an extraordinary refining material. The voice of Yen echoed in Lu Qing's mind. As a grandmaster nearing the end of his life, Yan's vision in recognizing refining material was incredibly discerning. So it already had some understanding of the material of this white bone claw. Upon hearing Yan's words, Lu Qing nodded slightly. He casually put away the white bone claw. There were other important things to attend to, refining artifacts and such could wait for later. After putting away the white bone claw, Lu Qing looked around. He saw that the surrounding powerhouses were all looking at him with an extremely reverent gaze. He was not surprised. Or rather, this was the effect he desired. Just now, when refining the Netherworld Old Ghost, why did he prefer to expend more effort by using the illusory big cauldron to refine, rather than directly using the leaving fire tripod? It was to strike fear by making an example, refining an ancient primordial spirit in front of so many people. Now it seems the effect was pretty decent. Seeing Lu Qing looking over, all the surrounding powerhouses instinctively avoided his gaze, not daring to meet his eyes. There's nothing to be done. This one was really too terrifying. What was that just now? A genuine remnant soul of an ancient primordial spirit, great power surviving from the previous cultivation era, carrying countless secrets. Lu Qing said he'd refine it to death, and he did, without leaving any room for survival. No matter how much tempted with numerous cultivation techniques and magical treasures, he remained unmoved. Such decisiveness and ruthlessness made all the powerful figures feel immense awe. At that moment, no one dared question that when Lu Qing said he would kill them all, he meant it. No one dared to meet his gaze when Lu Qing looked over, and his eyes finally fell on Meng Dian, lying on the ground staring up at him. Meng Dian, what else do you have to say? Lu Qing said coolly. His face paling, Meng Dian opened and closed his mouth, fear surfacing in his expression. Meng Dian, even if you were beguiled by that Netherworld Old Ghost, without malice in your heart, that old ghost would not have been able to tempt you. Those living creatures that were refined truly died by your hands. So the sin on your hands, no matter how you try to justify it, can never be purified. With that, a transparent flame already enveloped Meng Dian. At this moment, the bone claw, which the Netherworld Old Ghost had obtained from who knows where as an exotic treasure, and it transformed into the Netherworld Ghost Claw after hundreds of years of refinement through an evil technique. Now refined by your Nanming leaving fire, all the evil is gone, all the guilt is purged. It is likely to have become a rather extraordinary refining material. Hearing Yan's words, Lu Qing nodded slightly. He casually picked up the white bone claw. Lu Qing glanced around. All the powerful figures around looked at him with deep awe. He was pleased. This was the effect he had originally wanted. Just having refined the Netherworld Old Ghost, why did he prefer to spend more effort using the illusory big cauldron for refinement, rather than simply using it in the leaving fire tripod? It was precisely to annihilate the ancient primordial spirit in front of so many people. Now it seemed the effect was satisfactory. When Lu Qing looked over, all the strong ones around instinctively avoided his gaze. This one was simply too terrifying. What just happened? A genuine remnant of an ancient primordial spirit surviving from a previous cultivation era, to directly refine it to death without leaving any way out. No matter how tempted by countless cultivation techniques and magical treasures, he was utterly unmoved. Such decisive character, such ruthless means, made all the powerful figures feel immense reverence. At that moment, no one dared to question what Lu Qing had previously said about killing them all. Seeing Lu Qing's gaze, All the surrounding strong ones instinctively avoided his eyes, not daring to make eye contact. There was no helping it, this one was truly too terrifying. Lu Qing's gaze finally landed on Meng Dian lying on the ground. Feeling Lu Qing's gaze, Meng Dian shivered, fear now appearing in his eyes. Meng Dian, is there anything else you want to say? Lu Qing asked calmly. Meng Dian's face turned deathly pale. He opened his mouth but couldn't speak. Although you were bewitched by that netherworld old ghost, if there were no evil thoughts in your heart, that netherworld old ghost couldn't have lured you. Those living creatures that were refined, they were indeed killed by your own hands. So the sins on your hands, no matter how you try to argue, are beyond redemption. As the last words fell, a transparent flame enveloped Meng Dian. Chapter 729. Heavenly Demon Bone Claw, Holy Order established, merit descends from heaven. Seeing their own great elder being slain by Lu Qing with a single burst of sword qi, the remaining members of the Guiyuan sect stayed rooted on the spot, with not a single one daring to make a sound. They were not angry. On the contrary, their hearts were filled with fear. They were afraid that Lu Qing might take out his anger on them and kill them as well. Of course, Lu Qing did not do so. He merely glanced at the disciples of the Guiyuan sect. He said calmly, I understand that your great elder was beguiled by that netherworld old ghost. Hence he committed sins. Therefore I left him intact. Take his body back and give him a proper burial. Thank you, honored one. The disciples of the Guiyuan sect, upon hearing this, felt as if a heavy burden had been lifted, and expressions of relief showed on their faces, having survived a disaster. They bowed deeply to Lu Qing one after another. Even the second elder, who was also at the Golden Core realm, was no exception. Before Lu Qing, he dared not exhibit any sign of disrespect. Then Lu Qing glanced around once more, finally fixing his gaze on the First Saint Master. Elder First Saint Master, I believe no one will have any objections to this holy meeting now. I will leave the rest to you. With that said, Lu Qing transformed into a stream of light, soaring upwards into the azure darkness, flying towards the holy mountain. Lu Qing's sudden departure astonished everyone, catching them off guard. No one expected him to leave so abruptly. However, once they confirmed that Lu Qing had truly left, everyone breathed a sigh of relief and finally relaxed. There was no choice. The pressure from this individual was simply too overwhelming. Even without exuding any aura, merely standing there was enough to make everyone tremble with fear. Now that he had left, the weight on their hearts was finally lifted. Ladies and gentlemen, can we officially begin this holy meeting? At this time, the voice of the First Saint Master rang out. Seeing the First Saint Master's smiling demeanor, all the powerful individuals felt a chill in their hearts. Previously, they all speculated about the purpose and confidence behind the holy mountain convening this holy meeting. Now they understood. It turned out they had invited that person. Wasn't it rumored that the three Saint Masters were at odds with that individual? Now it appears this was not the case at all. Not only was there no discord between the two sides, but quite the contrary, they were evidently on very friendly terms. That person actually supported the holy mountain to such an extent. It was unclear how the three Saint Masters had persuaded him. Although they couldn't figure it out, everyone knew the situation was settled. This holy meeting was now completely under the control of the holy mountain. Indeed, throughout the rest of the holy meeting, no sect force dared to come forth and cause trouble. Everything proceeded in an orderly manner. Of course, with the significant implications and widespread involvement of the holy meeting, it wouldn't conclude hastily. It wouldn't end in just a day or two. It was for this reason that Lu Qing left directly. He had no interest in staying there to discuss those tedious matters. Upon returning to the holy mountain, Lu Qing entered his cave mansion. He had already done what needed to be done. The matters remaining were ones the three Saint Masters were much more proficient at handling, leaving no need for his concern. Sitting cross-legged in the cave mansion, Lu Qing took out the white bone claw, activated superpower, and examined it. Not long after, a rich purple began to emerge from the bone claw. Several strips of writing floated into view. Heavenly Demon Bone Claw. A bone claw left behind after the death of an ancient sky demon. The ancient sky demon was an innate creature that emerged at the genesis of this world, born from the origin energy. The ancient sky demon was innately powerful, existing in the primordial spirit realm from birth, exceptionally formidable. This bone claw was nourished for tens of thousands of years by the resentment of countless living creatures, and was then purified by the Nanming leaving fire, with all resentment dispelled, reverting to its origin, undergoing some strange transformation. After reading all the information on the strips, a realization dawned in Lu Qing's eyes. No wonder this bone claw was so formidable. Previously he was puzzled about what creature's claw could possess such power. It turned out to be a claw left behind by an ancient sky demon from the early formation of the world. Lu Qing was not entirely unfamiliar with this ancient sky demon. Back then, that demon cultivator had obtained a piece of the ancient sky demon's demon bone, and thus started causing turmoil. It was uncertain whether this heavenly demon bone claw and the demon bone obtained by the demon cultivator came from the same ancient sky demon. Having investigated the origin of the bone claw, Lu Qing stored it into his primordial bag. This bone claw had extraordinary material. After Lu Qing used the Nanming leaving fire to destroy and purify the restrictions within, killing the artifact spirit, although it was no longer a spiritual artifact, it transformed into an even better refining material. If crafted properly, perhaps he could create a strong spiritual artifact. However, refining a spiritual artifact isn't something that can be completed quickly. It requires a long time of nurturing to possibly produce that hint of spiritual nature. Currently, he was not lacking spiritual artifacts, so there was no rush. Once there is a suitable opportunity in the future, he could slowly refine it. Now the most important thing for him was his own cultivation. Having just broken through to the second transformation of the Golden Core, it was a crucial time for rapid progress, and he could not afford to slack off. While the holy meeting in the Holy City was in full swing, Lu Qing had already entered a deep cultivation state. Even though he wasn't present at the scene, the sect forces no longer dared to harbor any ulterior motives. They had no choice but to immerse themselves fully in the holy meeting discussions, striving to win benefits for themselves. Finally, 2 days later, in the central gigantic stone platform of the Holy City, the first Saint Master appeared solemn, holding a jade tablet in his hand, and gazed around. Chapter 730. Everyone, since there are no objections, the new decree will be established as discussed in this sacred council. Do you agree? Agree. Good. Let it be proclaimed accordingly. The representatives around from various major sect forces nodded one after another. Then, please, everyone, take an oath before the holy tablet and leave your heart and spirit imprint. With that, the first Saint Master extended his hand forward, and the jade tablet in his hand flew up, gradually enlarging in the air until it became a massive jade tablet several yards tall, landing on the ground and standing there. On the jade tablet, numerous characters were engraved, encapsulating the decree drafted by the sect forces in this sacred meeting. The representatives of the sect forces did not hesitate and stepped forward one by one to take the oath, and imprinted their heart and spirit on the jade tablet. When all the representatives of the sect forces had left their imprints on the holy tablet, the 3 Saint Masters also imprinted their heart and spirit on it. In the next moment, a supernatural event abruptly occurred. The holy tablet suddenly emitted a dazzling light that shot straight up into the azure darkness, piercing the heavens. A giant vortex appeared, absorbing that beam of light. Immediately after, each strong individual who left their heart and spirit imprint on the holy tablet felt a peculiar sensation. That was because their oath had been sensed by the heavenly will of this realm. In the future, if one violates the decree on the holy tablet, not only will one encounter backlash, but the fortune of their sect will also significantly diminish. Realizing this, all representatives of the sect forces came to understand the true purpose of the Holy Mountain in convening this sacred meeting. With changes in heaven and earth, spiritual energy recovery, and the evolution of heaven and earth rules, oaths made with heart and spirit have become more binding. For those who have sworn before the holy tablet, to avoid future backlash and a significant reduction in sect fortune, they not only must personally comply with the decree but also restrain their disciples from defying the decree. Thus, the goal of the Holy Mountain was truly achieved. The representatives of the sect forces looked at each other, realizing they had ultimately been calculated against. Nevertheless, it was fortunate that the decree was collectively discussed and formulated. Overall, the constraints on the cultivators were not very strong. Most importantly, cultivators must not indiscriminately harm ordinary people. This aspect was not difficult to achieve for the righteous cultivators among them. As for the conflicts among cultivators and the disputes and internal affairs of the sect forces, the Holy Mountain would not interfere. Therefore, as long as the decree against harming ordinary people is followed, the impact on various sect forces is not significant. On the contrary, some relatively weaker sect forces secretly breathed a sigh of relief. At least this way, everyone would be more inclined to follow the rules. They no longer need to constantly worry about other sects suddenly attacking, annexing, and destroying them. Thinking this way, the convening of this sacred meeting was indeed a good thing for them. While the sect forces were lost in various thoughts, the sky above underwent another transformation. Several golden lights descended from the heavens. Among them, 3 beams of golden light fell upon the 3 Saint Masters, and a much wider beam flew towards the Holy Mountain, entering the cave mansion where Lu Qing was in seclusion. Merit golden light. The abruptly surprising change naturally attracted everyone's attention. Among them, some knowledgeable cultivators immediately recognized the ancestry of the golden lights falling on the 3 Saint Masters. Those were indeed the legendary Merit golden light, which only those who accumulate great merit could possibly gather. Such rich Merit golden light. The Merit golden light descends at such a time. The descent of Merit golden light illustrates that the heavenly will also greatly acknowledges the sacred meeting fostered by the 3 Saint Masters, hence particularly descending merit. According to legend, Merit golden light can bring fortune and avert mishaps. The 3 Saint Masters obtaining such abundant Merit golden light will likely have a smoother cultivation journey in the future. A group of cultivators began discussing, looking at the Merit golden light on the 3 Saint Masters, while their gaze was filled with intense envy. Although most of them had never personally witnessed the Merit golden light, they had heard various related legends. The legends spoke of those endowed with Merit golden light as individuals with great merit. They are naturally blessed by the heavens. If an ordinary person, they may have great luck, avoid dangers, and enjoy many fortunes and a long life. If a cultivator, then their fortune thrives, their cultivation path smoothens, and opportunities abound. In short, it's full of benefits. However, despite the many advantages of Merit light, it is extremely challenging to obtain and condense. Some may spend a lifetime doing good without necessarily accumulating even a sliver of Merit light. Only those who perform actions that benefit the world or the heavenly will might be able to condense it. Hence, witnessing the 3 Saint Masters receive such an abundant amount of Merit light, how could the people not feel envious? Nonetheless, even if they felt envious, they could only feel jealousy. This sacred meeting was originally convened and hosted by the 3 Saint Masters. Clearly, the heavenly will also considers the merits to belong to them. Since this is deemed by the heavenly will, despite envy and jealousy, they could only look on helplessly. Furthermore, the Merit light obtained by the 3 Saint Masters isn't the most abundant. Moments ago, everyone saw a thicker and more concentrated beam flying toward the Holy Mountain. It's evident it was aimed at that individual. Thus, even if they harbored opinions, they dared not express a trace of it. This is Merit golden light. Even the 3 Saint Masters were a bit bewildered by the sudden descent of Merit golden light. The primary reason for convening the sacred meeting was their grand vow made long ago. They sought fulfillment of a wish, hoping for better advancement in cultivation, without too many other intentions. Yet they hadn't anticipated this sacred meeting would provoke a response from heaven and earth, earning them a special descent of Merit light. This realization not only surprised them but also filled their hearts with excitement. The descent of merit indicates that the heavenly will recognize their deeds this time. This is a tremendous encouragement for them. Merit golden light? In the cave mansion on the holy mountain, Lu Qing, who was in seclusion, was also awakened by the sudden merit golden light falling on him. He released his divine soul sensing, and after 10 breaths, understood what was happening. So the sacred meeting has concluded and the holy order has been deliberated upon and received recognition from many sect forces? I hadn't expected that the holy order could provoke a reaction from the heavenly will, causing the descent of merit light. It seems that siding with the Saint Masters this time turned out to be the right choice. Lu Qing, feeling the merit light flowing into his forehead acupoint, revealed a smile. This time, the amount of merit light he received was far more abundant than the merit golden light he obtained when he defeated the demon cultivator and saved the entire city in the state mansion. It's more than 10 times greater. Evidently, the heavenly will considered the establishment of the holy order to have tremendous benefits for the people of the world. This brings hope for condensing my merit robe. Lu Qing felt a sense of joy while experiencing the abundant merit light. He acquired 2 methods for utilizing merit golden light from the demon cultivator. One of these methods is to condense a merit robe using the merit light. During critical moments, it can automatically protect the owner and fend off various divine soul attacks and secret technique curses. Evidently, the heavenly will considered the establishment of this holy order to have tremendous benefits for the people of the world. This brings hope for condensing my merit robe. Lu Qing felt a sense of joy while experiencing the abundant merit light. He acquired 2 methods for utilizing merit golden light from the demon cultivator. One of these methods is to condense a merit robe using the merit light. During critical moments, it can automatically protect the owner and fend off various divine soul attacks and secret technique curses. Chapter 731. Endless Desert, Oasis of Life with Spirit Pearl obtained. In this world, the central state is the center of the world. Not only does it have vast territories, but it also possesses the richest spiritual energy, and those many famous mountains and rivers, cave heaven-blessed land. Thus, since ancient times, the central state has been the place most coveted by cultivators worldwide. Beyond the central state, it is equally vast, divided into various large and small provinces. Going directly east, what one could see is the vast ocean. Heading north, there are endless ice fields. Heading southwards, one will see stretching high mountains and dense forests. As for going west, what one will eventually see is the sky full of sandstorms and the endless desert. And the extreme west is the desert within the desert. The place is as hot as a furnace, overwhelmingly scorching. The air is so dry, like that of searing heat. Ordinary people might burn their lungs with just a breath. Such harsh environments, by reason, should be sparsely populated, and living creatures hard to exist. Yet in such a blistering dry desert, there exists a place, seen from afar, lush with greenery. Within it, some simple houses are scattered, evidently inhabited. Suddenly, above the calm, cloudless, blue sky, a figure appeared out of nowhere, standing still in midair. Lu Qing looked at the small oasis lush with greenery amidst the vast yellow sand below, eyes filled with wonder. I didn't expect in this intensely hot and supposedly lifeless zone of the desert there would be such a small, vibrant oasis. Is it due to the wood spirit pearl's power? Feeling the waves of spiritual pearl energy from below, Lu Qing had a bit of realization. Indeed, he came here this time to retrieve that wood spirit pearl. However, the current situation was somewhat beyond his expectations. The wood spirit pearl seemed not to have fallen silent but evolved a miracle of life in this desert. Lu Qing's figure slowly descended, observing the situation of the oasis below. This oasis is not large, only about 2 or 3 miles wide. It has dozens of simple houses within, indicating a fair population. Trees adorn the place, and children are seen chasing and playing among them. In the center of the oasis, there lies a shallow lake, with fish faintly swimming within. The whole oasis exudes an atmosphere of harmony and peace. As Lu Qing descended, he didn't conceal his figure or aura. Among the playful children, One happened to look up and saw Lu Qing gradually descending from the sky. Suddenly, his mouth opened wide, eyes widened, but he couldn't utter a word for a long time, staring at the sky. After a while, he managed to shout, "Immortal!" The other children followed his finger's direction to look, and the next moment, all of their eyes widened. The news of an immortal's appearance quickly spread throughout the oasis. Everyone who saw Lu Qing in the sky was utterly astonished. Soon, a very elderly man, urged by the crowd, slowly approached the front of the oasis. The elderly man saw Lu Qing standing still in midair. His cloudy eyes first widened. Then he prostrated himself, performing a grand gesture of respect towards Lu Qing. "Greetings, exalted immortal. May I know what brings your excellency here?" With the old man's prostration, the crowd behind him all knelt down. "Are you the leader here?" Lu Qing said plainly. "Old man is the clan leader of the Chiu family of Yellow Sand Village." The elder replied, "I've come here to find a peculiar bead, possibly green in color. Do you have any clues?" Lu Qing asked directly. Upon hearing this, the elder's body suddenly trembled. The crowd behind him also became restless. Looking at Lu Qing, the elder felt full of bitterness. He knew that only the sacred artifact of the village could attract such a flying and earth-treading exalted immortal to come. But under Lu Qing's calm gaze, the elder dared not refrain from answering. "Exalted immortal, please understand, our village indeed has such a bead, but it is the sacred artifact handed down through generations in Yellow Sand Village. This oasis exists in this endless desert entirely relying on that sacred artifact. We hope exalted immortal shows mercy and doesn't take away the artifact. Otherwise, without the sacred artifact's protection, we in Yellow Sand Village would be swallowed by the sands in no more than 3 days. All villagers would be buried under this yellow sand." The elder spoke while continuously kowtowing to Lu Qing. His tone was sorrowful, evoking sadness in the listeners. The villagers behind the elder also kowtowed to Lu Qing. Facing Lu Qing, this mysterious being who knows the flying technique, they dared not have any thoughts of resistance. They could only pray for his great mercy and restraint. Lu Qing looked at the villagers kneeling below. Among them, the majority didn't even have decent clothing, only covering their bodies with leaves or roughly woven items. One could tell, though living within the oasis, they absolutely couldn't be said to be living in comfort and happiness. Rather, they were merely surviving with effort. However, his expression showed no change. He only said blandly, "That bead is quite important to me and I must take it away." Hearing this, despair appeared in the elder's eyes. But Lu Qing's next words stunned him suddenly. "However, I offer you a choice, which is, if you wish, I can take you all out of this desert and find a place of clean mountains and water outside to settle down." The villagers who heard these words were equally stunned. After a moment, the elder said in disbelief, "Exalted immortal, did you say you could take us out of this endless desert?" Chapter 732. "Do you think I have any need to deceive you?" Lu Qing said calmly, "Of course, the choice is yours. If you wish to perish with this oasis in the endless desert, I won't object." The elder hesitated. Indeed, with someone like Lu Qing, there was truly no need to deceive them. If he truly harbored ill intentions, he could simply take it by force. It wasn't as though they could resist. "Immortal, this matter is of great importance. I need to consult with the clansmen." Though extremely tempted, the elder still spoke with great respect. "I can give you 15 minutes. Lu Qing nodded. "Thank you, immortal." The elder bowed his head to Lu Qing. Turning around, he was met with burning gazes. "Clan leader, what's there to discuss? Hurry and agree with the immortal. Yes, it's rare for an immortal to offer to take us out. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If we miss this chance, it's likely we'll never be able to leave here again. Clan leader, don't hesitate anymore." Enough. Hearing the urging of the clansmen, the elder knew there was no need for further discussion. Clearly, these guys were even more eager than himself. But he also understood why this was. Over the years, the village population had gradually increased, but the village itself was only so big. Though they could still sustain themselves, they were already stretching to make ends meet. If they continued like this, they would likely live more and more difficultly. Trapped in the endless desert, they couldn't even distinguish directions, let alone find their way out. So now that Lu Qing was willing to lead them out, it truly was a timely lifeline. Thinking of this, the elder no longer hesitated. Turning back, he knelt down before Lu Qing. "Immortal, we have all discussed it. We implore you to take us all out. We earnestly implore the immortal to take us all out." Other villagers also bowed down to Lu Qing again. Lu Qing smiled. "First, let me take a look at your sacred object, to see if it's what I need." Soon, Lu Qing was led to a not tall but very sturdy, and with extremely developed roots, old tree. The roots of the old tree even formed a small temple-like structure, guarding something within. That was indeed a treasure bead glowing with green light. "Immortal, this is the sacred object passed down for generations in Yellow Sand Village." The elder spoke anxiously. If before, he worried that Lu Qing was here to seize the village's sacred object. Now he desperately hoped this was exactly what Lu Qing wanted, because only then would their clan have hope of leaving this endless desert. Lu Qing examined the green treasure bead. In fact, he had already confirmed before coming over that this was indeed the wood spirit pearl. Unlike the other continually dormant spiritual pearls, this wood spirit pearl was clearly always in a state of awakening. Whether the environment here stimulated its awakening, or if there were other reasons, he did not know. With a gesture, the wood spirit pearl trembled lightly within the root structure, about to fly out. But in the next instant, an unusual force fixed it in place, and the old tree's roots suddenly tightened, firmly enveloping the wood spirit pearl. At the same time, a wave of angry intent emerged from the old tree, as if angrily scolding something. This sudden change startled the elder, causing him to retreat repeatedly. Pointing at the old tree, his mouth fell open in shock. He hadn't expected this old tree, worshipped for hundreds of years by his clan, could move like a living being. "Oh, has it developed spiritual nature?" Lu Qing raised an eyebrow, somewhat surprised. The old tree hid deeply, even he was somewhat deceived. Of course, this was also because his attention was focused on the wood spirit pearl. The rich wood element power from the wood spirit pearl also overshadowed the old tree's slight spiritual nature. However, how could a newly emerged spiritually awakened old tree possibly pose a difficulty for Lu Qing? Suddenly a wisp of transparent flame appeared in his hand. He said indifferently, "Release the spiritual pearl, or I'll burn you to death." As the Nanming leaving fire emerged, the old tree's branches and leaves trembled. It instinctively sensed that the flame in Lu Qing's hand was extremely terrifying. If it touched it, given its level of cultivation, it would surely be unable to resist, likely to be burned clean in an instant. Yet to abandon the wood spirit pearl was something the old tree was extremely reluctant to do. Finally, the old tree sent a wave of grievances towards Lu Qing. "You say without the wood spirit pearl, you cannot resist the desert's heat, and will gradually wither?" Lu Qing sensed the wave from the old tree and came to a realization. He thought for a few moments and said, "I'm taking the wood spirit pearl for sure. If you don't wish to slowly wither and die here, follow me. I will find a spirit mountain paradise for you, not only allowing you to root peacefully but also enabling better cultivation in the future. After all, this is a desert, and the earth's energy is thin. Even with the wood spirit pearl, your cultivation will ultimately be difficult to achieve success." The old tree listened to Lu Qing's words. Its leaves gently trembled, as if contemplating something. Lu Qing was in no rush, standing there quietly. The Nanming leaving fire in his hand remained lit. He didn't act immediately, simply mindful that this old tree managed to develop spiritual nature in the endless desert, which was no easy feat. But if this fellow truly didn't recognize kindness, he wouldn't mind using it for firewood. Chapter 733. Fortunately, although the old tree is a bit stiff, it's not foolish after all. After pondering for a moment, It finally made a decision and released a wave of energy. Lu Qing felt it and raised an eyebrow. You want to follow me and cultivate under my protection? That's simple, I can agree to that. Among all things in the world, for trees, stones, grass, and insects to develop spiritual wisdom is exceedingly difficult. This old tree has spiritual wisdom. Although its combat power is negligible, it is very useful for sorting earth energy, serving as the array eye, consolidating the array, and the like. After all, it's just a tree. It can be planted anywhere. Lu Qing wanting to offer protection isn't difficult at all. Upon hearing Lu Qing's assurance, the old tree emitted waves of joy. Without Lu Qing's prompting, it voluntarily loosened its roots and sent the wood spirit pearl to the front of Lu Qing. Lu Qing was not polite. He reached out and took it. Instantly, he felt an incredibly dense force of vitality emanating from the wood spirit pearl. The wood element power primarily governs vitality. The most peculiar aspect of the wood spirit pearl is the boundless vitality it contains within. It is precisely because of this that this oasis has been able to sustain itself for so long in the endless desert. After sending out the wood spirit pearl, a tremor came from the location of the old tree. It began to slowly withdraw its vast root system deeply planted in the earth. Meanwhile, its body gradually shrank. Eventually, it turned into a small tree just over 3 feet tall with countless tiny roots. Then, with a gentle leap, it came in front of Lu Qing. You actually have such ability? Lu Qing was a bit surprised but then smiled. With a wave of his hand, a vortex appeared out of thin air, absorbing the old tree into it. The old tree was shocked. The next moment, it felt itself fall into a mystical space. At this time, Lu Qing's voice sounded overhead. Stay here for now. When we get out, I'll find a good place to release you. For now, rely on the power of the wood spirit pearl to maintain yourself first. As his voice fell, a green treasure bead fell in front of the old tree. Upon hearing these words, the old tree felt somewhat reassured. Since Lu Qing even placed the wood spirit pearl inside, he surely wasn't deceiving it. It immediately extended several roots onto the wood spirit pearl, drawing in the wood element power within to sustain itself. Having settled the old tree, Lu Qing then looked at the chief of Yellow Sand Village, who was already stunned. Old man, go and have your people pack up and prepare to leave this place with me. The old man awoke as if from a dream, quickly saying, Yes, yes, Immortal. Please wait a moment. We will prepare right away. With that, he hurriedly walked out, feeling incomparably excited. The divine means Lu Qing had just truly showcased his vast divine skills. He no longer had the slightest doubt that Lu Qing could lead them out of this endless desert. The power of hope is always strong. The villagers of Yellow Sand Village did not let Lu Qing wait long before they all gathered in the center of the village. Immortal, we are all ready. The old man, carrying a small bundle, came before Lu Qing. Lu Qing nodded. He glanced around and saw that, in fact, the villagers weren't carrying much. The most they had were some dried fish and other dried foods. Besides that, just some small baskets and such. Other items were very few. They didn't even seem to have pots and pans. Could be said they were pitiably poor. But this wasn't surprising either. After all, this small oasis itself had low production capacity, and resources were extremely scarce. So even with generations of accumulation, these villagers still didn't have much to take with them. Lu Qing said nothing more. He simply waved his hand, forming a vortex to collect all the villagers into the leaving fire tripod. Then he transformed into a stream of light, flying upwards into the azure darkness, heading out of the endless desert. Chapter 734. In the depths of the East Sea, the spiritual pearls summoning. Jili Village, Lu family. Lu Qing arrived at the courtyard, and with a thought, released the ancient tree from the leaving fire tripod. As for those villagers from Yellow Sand Village, he had already asked the Wei family to help, securing a piece of land nearby for them to settle. The ancient tree settled on the ground, initially bewildered. But soon, sensing the comforting environment and rich spiritual energy, it was overjoyed. This is my place of cultivation. You can settle here, help manage the earth's energy well, and guard the village. Lu Qing said to the ancient tree. The ancient tree shook its branches and leaves, nodding repeatedly. Then, eager to find a suitable spot in the courtyard, it started to take root. Its fine roots quickly expanded, penetrating the ground, extending deep underground. Meanwhile, the trunk above rapidly swelled from 3 feet tall to over 2 yards high. The lush leaves made the entire courtyard's atmosphere much fresher. The most impressive thing about the ancient tree was its massive root system. It continuously extended its roots deeper underground and began managing the surrounding Earth's energy as instructed by Lu Qing. Just as it was about to spread its roots throughout Jili village, suddenly, it sensed several strange fluctuations, and the trunk froze. At this time, Lu Qing's voice echoed. "Ah, I almost forgot to tell you. There are other trees like you in the village. You should get along." Lu Qing was referring to the letter tree at the village entrance, the plum tree in the master's half-mountain small courtyard, and the ginseng in the medicine field. Over the years, under the continuous nourishment of the rich spiritual energy in the village, all had increased in spiritual nature. Compared to this ancient tree from Yellow Sand Village, they were no less formidable. Thus, sensing this newcomer trying to monopolize the village's spiritual charm and Earth's energy, they all sent warnings. The ancient tree heard Lu Qing's words and sensed the fluctuations from other trees. It realized that it wasn't the only wood elf here. So it slowly retracted some of its roots, occupying only the area around Lu Qing's house. Though the area it could occupy was smaller, it was still very pleased. The Earth's energy and spiritual charm here were far stronger than those in the depths of the endless desert in Yellow Sand Village. And there were a few of its kind here too. This made the ancient tree, lonely for countless years, very excited. After taking root, it immediately sent fluctuations to make friendly connections with its neighbors. Lu Qing did not disturb the communication among the wood elves. Seeing the ancient tree successfully rooted, he returned to the house, entered the quiet room, and took out the wood spirit pearl. The light green wood spirit pearl emitted waves of fresh air, with profound wood element power inside. Lu Qing observed the wood spirit pearl in his hand for a moment, then proceeded to explore it with his heart and spirit for refinement. The refinement process was smooth. After all, even the ancient tree could absorb the wood spirit pearl's power, showing that the treasure had not yet developed its own spiritual sense. So Lu Qing easily left his divine soul mark in the deepest part of the wood spirit pearl, completely refining it. Next, the wood spirit pearl transformed into a stream of light, entering Lu Qing's forehead acupoint, moving toward the center of the acupoint space, as if there was a certain tacit understanding. The golden spirit pearl and fire spirit pearl slightly moved aside, allowing the wood spirit pearl to merge in, rotating around the central earth spirit pearl. After a few rounds, the connection between the pearls was established. Lu Qing immediately felt a mysterious meaning arise in his heart and spirit. More importantly, after gathering the 4 spiritual pearls, his sensing of the last water spirit pearl became much stronger. He even faintly sensed that he seemed to have some ability to summon that water spirit pearl. Let's try it. Upon realizing this, Lu Qing sat cross-legged to meditate, following that sensation in his heart and spirit to start sensing. Then, in a trance, an indistinct image appeared in his heart and spirit. In a dim space, a black bead was slowly rotating. Countless streams of water surrounded it, flowing. Judging by the atmosphere, it was exactly the last water spirit pearl Lu Qing needed. Lu Qing followed the feeling in his heart and began trying to summon this water spirit pearl. In the image, the black spiritual pearl trembled slightly, about to fly up. But the next moment, a shadow suddenly emerged, covering the water spirit pearl. At the same time, a cold snort suddenly rang out, shocking Lu Qing's heart and spirit. Immediately after, the sensed image began to distort, finally shattering like a water curtain. Once Lu Qing came to his senses, he found his sensing of the water spirit pearl had weakened significantly. Indeed, the water spirit pearl is in the hands of some mysterious being. Lu Qing recalled the shadow just now, which seemed like a giant claw. Obviously, the one holding the water spirit pearl was not human. And from the performance in the image, the being's strength was not weak. At least it was at the golden core realm or above. Furthermore, according to his sensing, the location of the water spirit pearl was deep in the East Sea, a place that has always been forbidden for the human race. The water spirit pearl couldn't possibly be in the hands of a human cultivator. However, this makes the matter troublesome. The water spirit pearl is controlled by a being and likely hidden under the deep sea. Chapter 735. He wanted to obtain it to gather all 5 spiritual pearls, but it wouldn't be easy. However challenging it might be, Lu Qing had to give it a try. With this in mind, Lu Qing walked outside, and his heart and spirit began calling out. Very soon, a slender figure flew in swiftly from outside, landing in front of Lu Qing, affectionately rubbing against his pant leg. It was precisely the colorful winged snake Wu Xing. A wave of divine soul fluctuation emanated from Wu Xing's body. Lu Qing nodded. Not bad. I have something for you to do. You'll accompany me on a trip later. The colorful winged snake was thrilled by these words, its body writhing, even its wings flapping with vigor. The master finally needed its assistance. Ah Qing, where are you taking this stinky snake? At this moment, a shadow darted in swiftly from outside, landing on Lu Qing's shoulder. Who else could it be but little Li? Just now, they were all accompanying little Yen at the Wei family's detached house. All of a sudden, upon seeing the colorful winged snake heading towards the house, it followed along, overhearing Lu Qing's words. I'm taking Wu Xing to the sea for a task. Little Li, do you want to come? Lu Qing asked with a smile. You're going to the sea? Hearing this, little Li's face almost scrunched up with displeasure. The last time, they only stayed by the seaside for a while, feeling the dense humidity which it really disliked. Going into the sea. Thinking about it, little Li shuddered immediately, shaking its head quickly. Then I won't go. I'll stay home with little Yen. You guys go and come back soon. Stinky snake. Remember to protect Ah Qing. The colorful winged snake, upon hearing this, immediately stood tall and proud. It seemed to say that with it there's nothing to worry about. Seeing this, Lu Qing couldn't help but smile. He knew little Li would react this way. Though the little guy wasn't afraid of water, its aversion to it was deeply rooted. Upon hearing they were heading into the deep sea, it naturally didn't want to go. He intended to bring along Wu Xing because the colorful winged snake shared the same 5 elements as him. Not only was it adept at flying, but it excelled in water as well. The first time Lu Qing saw it in the secret realm, it was hiding in the water, waiting to ambush. This time, heading to the depths of the East Sea, bringing it along might prove helpful. Though Lu Qing was now hailed as the world's #1 among human clan cultivators, he hadn't become arrogant because of it. The sea was a forbidden zone for human race cultivators, mysterious and unpredictable. Who knows what terrifying entities lay within. Thus, it wouldn't hurt him to be prepared to the utmost. Then little Li, you stay home with little Yen, and also tell her we'll be back soon. After advising little Li, Lu Qing took the colorful winged snake, summoned the golden small boat, and swiftly flew towards the east. With Lu Qing's current cultivation, propelling the golden small boat resulted in extreme speed. One domain after another rapidly passed beneath his feet. Before too long, the vast regions of the East Sea came into distant view. Lu Qing didn't pause. Following the sense within his heart, he directly flew towards the deep sea. Before long, Lu Qing had already ventured thousands of miles into the ocean's territory. The land behind him was completely out of sight. Only the occasional islands slightly jutting above the sea could serve as stepping stones. Finally, at a position 10,000 miles deep into the ocean's territory, Lu Qing came to a stop. He could sense that the water spirit pearl was deep below the sea directly beneath him. Yet Lu Qing wasn't in a hurry to enter the water. Though he had refined a perfect golden core, mastering the 5 elements, his strength wouldn't be hindered even underwater. However, the seabed wasn't his territory, and unclear of the situation below, he refrained from venturing recklessly. and standing high in the air, he vaguely felt that beneath the sea, there seemed to be many enormous creatures lurking. One of the auras made him feel a heart-stopping fear. Hovering on the golden small boat, suspended high in the air, his eyes slightly closed, he began to meditate. Having come this far, his distance from the water spirit pearl had become extremely close. The previous feeling of summoning within his heart grew stronger once again. So he intended to channel that summoning power first. Even if it couldn't directly summon the water spirit pearl out, perhaps it might force out that mysterious presence. That way it could save him a lot of effort. With his heart and spirit mobilized, Lu Qing followed the feeling in his heart, beginning to summon the water spirit pearl. In an instant, before his eyes, the previous scene appeared once more. Perceived within the deep darkness was the water spirit pearl. This time, the proximity greatly enhanced Lu Qing's summoning power to the water spirit pearl. After a certain fluctuation from the 4 great spiritual pearls within his forehead acupoint, the water spirit pearl seemed to gain a powerful reinforcement. Suddenly, it broke through the force binding it, rising rapidly from the seabed, rushing toward Lu Qing's position. Roar! Almost simultaneously, an enraged roar echoed from the depths of the sea. Soon after, an immense aura surged from the seabed. It was as if some ancient beast was awakening in the depths, chasing the water spirit pearl, rushing quickly towards the sea surface. Sensing this, Lu Qing immediately strengthened his mental summoning power. With such prompting, the water spirit pearl's ascension speed increased again. Yet, even so, Lu Qing felt that the water spirit pearl's speed was no match for that mysterious presence. He feared it would be recaptured before it could breach the surface. He immediately commanded, "Wu Xing, go down, grab that black bead, and bring it back to me." The colorful winged snake, upon hearing this, acted without hesitation, diving from the sky into the sea. Once in the water, the wings on the back of the colorful winged snake became harder than steel, and they began vibrating at extreme speed. At the same time, the water around it flowed rapidly as if it were alive. With the two forces combined, the colorful winged snake's speed soared dramatically. Remarkably, its speed in water exceeded its speed in flight by several degrees. In midair, Lu Qing was thrilled to witness this scene. Indeed, bringing Wu Xing was the right choice. The water speed it demonstrated far surpassed his own capabilities. For the task entrusted by Lu Qing, the colorful winged snake dared not slack off in the least. Fully unleashing its innate talents, its speed surged to an extreme. Very soon, it reached the deep seabed several miles below, spotting the black spirit bead Lu Qing had mentioned in one glance. At the same time, it also sensed the terrifying presence pursuing the black spirit bead, emitting a dread that shook even it. The colorful winged snake dared not delay and charged forward, seizing the black spirit bead in its mouth. With a nimble turn, it beat its wings again, rapidly escaping toward the sea surface. "You dare, little worm!" The mysterious presence below the sea felt this scene and was immediately furious. Noticing the colorful winged snake was faster in water than it was. In a rage, it could no longer hold back any longer. Its size abruptly shrank significantly, yet its aura surged drastically, its speed spiking as it chased after the colorful winged snake. With this burst, its speed surpassed the colorful winged snake. The distance between the two began closing in. The colorful winged snake felt this, growing even more alarmed. Speed in water had always been its prideful talent. Unexpectedly, its first display before the master was overshadowed by a mysterious presence. The pressure from the mysterious presence behind the colorful winged snake was immensely strong. It dared not get distracted, desperately fleeing towards the sea surface. As the distance between both sides narrowed, the mysterious presence's eyes showed a cold, fierce glint, just as it prepared to crush the worm beneath its claws. Suddenly, it felt a lightness in its body, a burst of brightness before its eyes, and the reptile, seemingly within its grasp, suddenly pulled away again. Did the worm get faster? "No, I'm slowing down," thoughts flashed through the mysterious presence's mind at lightning speed. In the fierce pursuit, somehow they had already left the ocean, emerging above the surface. Looking at the reptile spreading its wings and continuing to soar skyward, the mysterious presence's eyes burned with even greater fury. But in the next moment, its body shuddered, looking up suddenly. Then it saw a rustic big cauldron ablaze with flames, carrying a terrifying might, crashing towards it. Chapter 736 Ancient Dragon Turtle, Ancestral Dragon Bloodline. When the mysterious entity saw the leaving fire tripod coming down, it was already too late to dodge. It could only retract its head and claws, using its body to withstand the descending leaving fire tripod. Boom! The leaving fire tripod struck the mysterious entity, unleashing tremendous power at the same time. It also smashed it from midair back into the sea, causing a surge of waves. The seawater surged, directly creating a downpour within a 10-mile radius. Seeing the mysterious entity was merely knocked back into the sea by the leaving fire tripod and not shattered, he was somewhat surprised. Although the strike was made in haste and he hadn't used full force, the leaving fire tripod was a middle-grade spiritual device, able to take it head-on without shattering. This entity's physical body was terribly strong indeed. Lu Qing looked at the sea surface and felt that the mysterious entity's aura was only slightly weakened, showing no signs of severe injury. Its physical strength was almost unimaginable for a Golden Core realm spiritual beast. The multicolored winged snake quickly flew next to Lu Qing, spitting out the black spiritual pearl from its mouth. Lu Qing caught it and stored it in the Chenquan bag. Rumble. At this moment, countless waves rose from the sea, and a massive creature emerged. Lu Qing finally saw the true appearance of the mysterious entity. It was a gigantic monster with a fierce head resembling a dragon's, stout limbs, claws revealing a sharp glint, and a body covered in mystical patterned hard shells. The body alone was several miles large, far exceeding any creature he had ever seen. However, at this moment, the hard shell had a dent, the shell cracked, with faint traces of blood seeping out. Evidently, though it managed to withstand the blow with its shell, it still took a toll. Now the monster was looking at Lu Qing and the multicolored winged snake with an extremely cold gaze. This made the multicolored winged snake tremble, involuntarily hiding behind Lu Qing. When the monster approached earlier, it really thought it was doomed to die in the sea. Moreover, it felt a compelling submissiveness emanating from the monster below. It was a fear from the depths of its bloodline, imposing an invisible pressure. If not for being enslaved by Lu Qing's divine soul, preventing betrayal to its master, it would have fled long ago. Lu Qing, however, quietly activated his superpower, looking towards it. Soon, rich purple superpower light emerged from the monster's body. Several lines of information floated out. Ancient Dragon Turtle, a powerful mutant beast living deep in the ocean. Cultivation, primordial spirit body, golden core divine soul. This dragon turtle has the bloodline of Swan and I, son of the ancestor dragon, known as an ancient strange beast. Its body is extraordinarily strong, far surpassing spiritual beasts of the same level. Ancestral dragon bloodline, remarkably robust. Even the heavenly human 5 decays of the small world cannot completely annihilate it. This dragon turtle once severed its realm, entering a deep slumber to survive the spiritual energy exhaustion and the heavenly human 5 decays of the small world. Dragon turtle is long-lived, with this one's lifespan exceeding 40,000 years. Though dragon turtle's lifespan is long, its cultivation realm progresses much slower compared to ordinary spiritual beasts due to its massive size. The continuous lines of information left Lu Qing both astonished and delighted. He finally understood why the monster before him was so powerful, withstanding a hit from the leaving fire tripod without suffering serious injury, only cracking a part of its shell. As it turns out, it bears the ancestral dragon bloodline. The ancestor dragon is a 9-tribulation mutant beast, its power unimaginable. Even one of its 9 offspring, Swan and I, became a 6-tribulation mutant beast 10,000 years ago. The strength of its bloodline is evident. So, the strand of bloodline that Swan and I shed back then was actually taken by the Dragon Turtle clan? After reading several lines of information, Lu Qing finally understood what was going on. Previously, in the Canyon Sword marks at Azure Dragon Pass and the Lion Claw mark, he obtained 2 inheritances. In the inheritance illusions it showed in a sparring session 10,000 years ago, Swan and I lost to a strike by Patian Taoist. Its claw was slashed, shedding a strand of bloodline, which fell into the great river at Azure Dragon Pass, sparking a struggle among the river's mutant beasts. Now it appears in that bloodline contest it was the Dragon Turtle clan that secured it. However, the current Dragon Turtle isn't the one that initially captured Swan Ni's bloodline, but its descendant. After all, the information indicates its lifespan is only over 40,000 years. The sparring between Patian Taoist and Swan and I took place over 10,000 years ago. Nonetheless, the ancestral dragon bloodline is truly formidable. Even the depletion of spiritual energy and the heavenly human 5 decays cannot prevail against it. The present dragon turtle has lived for over 40,000 years. It is evident that it has existed since the last cultivation era and has survived until now. Unlike Plague Old Ghost and Netherworld Old Ghost, who relied on the soul-stealing technique, sacrificing their physical bodies to possess spiritual artifacts and survive, this dragon turtle endured the heavenly human 5 decays through its own bloodline. And it hasn't perished but only fallen into slumber due to realm regression. Now, with the changes in heaven and earth spiritual energy recovery, it is evident this dragon turtle has awakened from its slumber. Yet, although awakened, its strength hasn't fully restored. Understanding all this, Lu Qing was both shocked and felt a sense of relief. Fortunately, not many years have passed since the spiritual energy recovery, and this dragon turtle hasn't restored its peak strength. Otherwise, against a primordial spirit realm dragon turtle with ancestral dragon bloodline, even with his perfect golden core, he would be no match. Chapter 737. However, this matter gave Lu Qing a headache. Although the dragon turtle's realm had fallen, its physical body was undoubtedly at the primordial spirit realm level. He had seen earlier that even a strike from the leaving fire tripod could only leave a mark on its body, cracking its shell slightly. Even though he hadn't used his full strength, he had already invoked 40 to 50% of the leaving fire tripod's power. Seeing this, even if he fully powered the leaving fire tripod, it might be difficult to seriously injure it, let alone kill it. Moreover, when he had just taken the water spirit pearl, he had already discovered it. The water spirit pearl had been refined, with the divine soul mark of this dragon turtle inside it, controlled by it. It was just that the summoning power among the several spirit pearls was too mysterious, catching the dragon turtle off guard. But if the divine soul mark in the wood spirit pearl isn't removed, refining it would become extremely difficult. To remove the divine soul mark from the water spirit pearl, there are only a few methods. One is to kill the dragon turtle, and the divine soul mark would naturally disappear. 2 is to make the dragon turtle erase the divine soul mark itself. The last method is for Lu Qing to slowly wear away the divine soul mark in the water spirit pearl, like water grinding a stone. These 3 methods, the first 2 are needless to say. Looking at the dragon turtle's angry eyes below, one can tell that it's almost impossible. Even the 3rd method isn't something Lu Qing can accomplish in a short time. After all, the dragon turtle was once a primordial spirit realm being. Its divine soul far surpasses the average golden core realm. Although Lu Qing's own divine soul has its peculiarities. But if he wanted to erase the divine soul mark in the water spirit pearl while the dragon turtle was still alive, it would probably take tens if not hundreds of years to do so. And this is under the premise that the dragon turtle doesn't grow stronger. If during those tens or hundreds of years, the dragon turtle's strength recovers, by then, the Lu Qing he would face could be a terrifying dragon turtle carrying the ancestral dragon bloodline at primordial spirit realm level. Thinking of this, Lu Qing suddenly had a headache. Although he unexpectedly seized the water spirit pearl, refining it would likely require much effort. 2 ants, return my treasure bead. Otherwise, I'll leave you without a grave. Just as Lu Qing was feeling troubled, The dragon turtle floating on the ocean surface sent out an angry wave of divine soul. Feeling this divine soul wave, Lu Qing was first stunned, then delighted. The dragon turtle could communicate? That would make things much simpler. He composed himself, revealing a faint expression. Looking at the dragon turtle below, he said, "I never thought there would still be an ancient dragon turtle in this deep sea. To survive the heavenly human 5 decays and live until now, only with a slight drop in realm while the physical body remains. The bloodline of the ancient ancestral dragon is indeed extraordinary." "Boy, what do you mean?" Lu Qing's words directly shocked the dragon turtle. Its body stirred, causing waves to surge for dozens of miles. Its originally angry and cold eyes had turned into shock. It stared at Lu Qing intently, feeling incredulous. Couldn't believe that this little golden core realm ant could understand it so well. Not only its current physical condition was described perfectly, but even the origin of its bloodline, the greatest secret of its race, was known clearly. This was a secret that no one even in the last cultivation era knew. Find it hard to understand? Lu Qing, seeing the dragon turtle's shocked eyes, smiled, feeling more confident. Although your race is mysterious, its origins aren't entirely unknown. In ancient times, your race was just an ordinary giant turtle race. By chance, you obtained a trace of the bloodline of the ancestor dragon's offspring, Swan and I. After refining it, you evolved into the dragon turtle race. Such secrets are unknown in this world, but in the outside world, they're not a secret. Lu Qing continued to reveal the secrets of the dragon turtle race, causing the dragon turtle below to widen its eyes even more. Finally, it couldn't help saying, "Boy, who exactly are you?" The shock in the dragon turtle's heart was indescribable. The process of its race's evolution was recorded in its bloodline heritage. Besides the dragon turtle race, almost no other creature knew of it. And in this world, there was currently only this one dragon turtle left. How did this boy in front of it come to know such secrets? In the dragon turtle's perception, Lu Qing was just an ordinary golden core early-stage young man. Furthermore, judging from the divine soul aura emanating from him, his age was very young. Not even comparable to a fraction of the years it had lived. But he held the deepest secrets of its race. This made the dragon turtle feel puzzled and suspicious, finding the young golden core realm boy before it suddenly unfathomable. "Who I am is not important." Lu Qing's expression remained calm. "This water spirit pearl is useful to me. May I ask if you could spare it for me?" The dragon turtle fell into silence. If anyone else dared to speak to it like this, it could crush them with a mere swipe. But at this moment, the feeling Lu Qing gave it was too profound to grasp, so it dared not act rashly. However, the water spirit pearl was of great significance to it, relating to its speed in returning to the primordial spirit realm. To hand it over so easily was impossible. After a moment of silence, the dragon turtle spoke. "The water spirit pearl is very important to me, and I must respectfully decline your request to take it." At this moment, the dragon turtle did not dare to address Lu Qing as boy or ant with contempt, but used an honorific title. In its heart, it had already regarded Lu Qing as a mysterious being worthy of equal dialogue. Lu Qing was not surprised by the dragon turtle's answer. After all, from the start, the other's rage had already shown its attachment to the water spirit pearl. He smiled and said, "Then what if I exchanged something with you?" "Exchange?" The dragon turtle was taken aback upon hearing this. "Indeed, I propose a trade of a cultivation technique for this water spirit pearl." Lu Qing nodded. "A cultivation technique?" The dragon turtle laughed. "You must be joking. My race has always only cultivated our own family techniques, without interest in others." If Lu Qing offered treasures for exchange, the dragon turtle might be interested to listen. But upon hearing it was a cultivation technique, it lost interest. The dragon turtle race had always only cultivated their own techniques, uninterested in other mutant beast techniques. Especially since Lu Qing, being human, couldn't possibly have a technique that would benefit it. However, Lu Qing's next words caused its eyes to widen sharply. What if I say this technique is related to the divine beast Swan and I, who is closely connected to your race? Is what you say true? The dragon turtle was taken aback upon hearing this. Indeed, I propose a trade of a cultivation technique for this water spirit pearl. Lu Qing nodded. A cultivation technique? The dragon turtle laughed. You must be joking. My race has always only cultivated our own family techniques, without interest in others. If Lu Qing offered treasures for exchange, the dragon turtle might be interested to listen. But upon hearing it was a cultivation technique, it lost interest. The dragon turtle race had always only cultivated their own techniques, uninterested in other mutant beast techniques, especially since Lu Qing, being human, couldn't possibly have a technique that would benefit it. However, Lu Qing's next words caused its eyes to widen sharply. What if I say this technique is related to the divine beast Swan and I, who is closely connected to your race? Is what you say true? Especially since Lu Qing, being human, couldn't possibly have a technique that would benefit it. However, Lu Qing's next words caused its eyes to widen sharply. What if I say this technique is related to the divine beast Swan and I, who is closely connected to your race? Is what you say true? Chapter 738. Illusion Inheritance Water Spirit Pearl Acquired. So, do you want to exchange? Regarding the dragon turtle's shock, Lu Qing was not surprised at all and asked calmly. The dragon turtle hesitated for a while before saying, How do I know if what you say is true or false? Whether it's true or false, the senior can tell at a glance. Lu Qing casually sent out a divine soul fluctuation towards the dragon turtle. The dragon turtle hesitated at first, but sensing that Lu Qing's divine soul fluctuation wasn't strong, it ultimately didn't stop it, letting it fall onto its heart and spirit. As soon as it touched that wisp of divine soul fluctuation, the dragon turtle's heart and spirit trembled, and its eyes widened suddenly. Divine power. As a powerful primordial spirit realm being surviving from the last cultivation era, with some inherited memories, the dragon turtle clan. The dragon turtle's knowledge far exceeded that of people in this era. It instantly recognized that the divine soul fluctuation Lu Qing released actually contained the power of divine skills. It immediately felt its heart and spirit shake. However, it had no time to continue being shocked, as it was completely captivated by the information contained in Lu Qing's divine soul fluctuation. What Lu Qing transmitted was an illusion. The illusion depicted a blurry, indistinctly powerful mutant beast lying on the clouds. Suddenly, that mysterious, blurred mutant beast casually swung its claw. A beam of claw light flew out, tearing through space, shaking the surroundings, its mighty power sweeping across the world. When the dragon turtle saw that claw light, it immediately felt its heart and spirit tremble, completely captivated. In its eyes, a dazed expression appeared. In the dragon turtle's view, the claw light swung out by the mysterious mutant beast was so mysterious that merely watching it, various insights emerged in its heart. However, just as it wished to continue its comprehension, the illusion quietly dissipated. The insights that had just arisen in the dragon turtle's mind were suddenly interrupted. No. The dragon turtle was anxious at heart. The claw light swung by the mysterious mutant beast in the illusion was extremely mysterious, containing profound truths. It had a feeling that, if it could completely comprehend it, the realm that hadn't moved in tens of thousands of years might have the possibility of advancing further. But now the illusion dissipated. Its insights were abruptly interrupted, causing great discomfort. In its urgency, the dragon turtle abruptly looked at Lu Qing, only to see Lu Qing with a half-smile expression, which made the dragon turtle's mind instantly clear. Well, I didn't deceive the senior, did I? Lu Qing asked. The dragon turtle calmed down and fell into contemplation. Although it still couldn't ascertain whether the cultivation technique Lu Qing mentioned was truly related to that figure. The illusion Lu Qing transmitted just now genuinely stirred something within its heart. The claw that the mysterious mutant beast swung out in the illusion shook its heart and spirit just by watching, causing continuous insights. So, whether Lu Qing's words were true or not was no longer important. What's important is that this illusion indeed has great utility for it. It could very likely allow it to break through barriers and overcome the bottleneck that hadn't loosened in tens of thousands of years. Thinking of this, the dragon turtle had already made a decision in its heart. However, it did not display it immediately. Instead, it looked at Lu Qing and said, "I didn't expect that you have such an opportunity, actually bearing divine skills. It seems you should be the chosen prodigy of this era." "Oh, does the senior also know about divine skills?" Lu Qing raised an eyebrow, somewhat surprised. Indeed, he had just used the mistaken divine skill. Otherwise, just relying on his own divine soul strength, it wouldn't be easy to mimic a trace of the exotic beast Swanee's claw technique. It's a pity that this dragon turtle is too large, and its physical body is still at the primordial spirit realm level. Being able to control such a massive body, its divine soul surely wouldn't be weak. Even if its realm had fallen to the Golden Core realm, the divine soul remained terrifyingly strong. Lu Qing estimated that even if he fully exerted the mistaken divine skill, he might still be unable to do anything to this old dragon turtle. "I wouldn't say I know much about it, but in the last cultivation era, I encountered two prodigies from your human race. They also possessed divine skills and were quite formidable," the dragon turtle answered. "I see." Lu Qing nodded, unsurprised. Heavenly gifted divine powers were rare, but he never thought he was the only fortunate one. Each era has its prodigies. In the last cultivation era, for sure, there were many world-renowned prodigies favored by the heavens. Among them, those who obtained heavenly gifted divine powers, that would be quite normal. Not to mention, little Li and his master also possessed divine skills. However, to impress even this old dragon turtle, the two it encountered must have been powerful figures at the primordial spirit realm level. Just don't know if those two ever boarded the breaking realm ship. "Are you intending to use this claw technique to exchange for that water spirit pearl?" the dragon turtle asked. "Yes. Would the senior be willing?" Lu Qing nodded. The dragon turtle pondered for a moment and then asked, "There are two questions. I wonder if the esteemed might be willing to tell?" "Please ask, senior." "Where did you obtain the inheritance of this claw technique? And why are you so clear about the origin of my clan?" It seems the senior still doesn't trust the junior. Lu Qing laughed. "These are all the junior's secrets. I'm sorry I cannot divulge them. If the senior is unwilling to exchange, then so be it. At most, when the junior returns, I will spend 10 or 8 years to erase the divine soul mark within the water spirit pearl. This amount of time the junior can afford." After saying that, Lu Qing was ready to leave. Chapter 739. "Hold on." The dragon turtle saw the situation and quickly shouted. Lu Qing stopped. "Are you willing now, senior?" Seeing Lu Qing's stubbornness, the dragon turtle felt a headache coming on. If it was someone else saying such things, it would surely scoff. The divine soul mark it left behind wasn't something that could be easily erased. An individual in the Golden Core realm could hardly do it in a mere 10 or 8 years, let alone a century. However, it was Lu Qing speaking, and that made things different. This young man was too mysterious and clearly possessed skills specialized in the divine soul. If he intended to wear away the divine soul mark it left in the water spirit pearl with persistent effort, couldn't guarantee it would withstand such an attempt. After pondering over it repeatedly, the dragon turtle reluctantly agreed. "All right, I'll make an exchange with you." Lu Qing smiled. "Then please, senior, let us first make a divine soul oath together, and then proceed with the exchange." Observing Lu Qing's thoroughness, the dragon turtle understood well that the young man came prepared. However, with such thoroughness it felt slightly more at ease. Lu Qing's willingness to propose a divine soul oath showed the authenticity of the inheritance he offered and not a deception. It agreed. "Fine." Soon, both the human and the beast each made their divine soul oath. With a trace of heavenly Tao aura appearing in the sky above, the divine soul oaths took effect. Lu Qing took out the water spirit pearl and a jade scroll. He first flicked the water spirit pearl downward. "Please, senior." erased the divine soul mark within the water spirit pearl. The dragon turtle received the water spirit pearl, with a hint of reluctance in its eyes. This water spirit pearl had accompanied it for tens of thousands of years, and now it was to leave it. Still, the dragon turtle understood how to make a choice. After caressing the water spirit pearl for a while, it resolutely erased the divine soul mark within it. Then it returned the pearl to Lu Qing above. The divine soul mark within the water spirit pearl has been erased by me. I hope you fulfill your promise. Receiving the water spirit pearl, Lu Qing checked it with his heart and spirit and found the divine soul mark completely erased. Immediately, he smiled. Rest assured, Senior. I am not one who breaks my word. With that, he flicked the jade scroll downward. Within this jade scroll is what Senior desires. The dragon turtle caught the jade scroll and let its divine soul power enter it. Inside was a divine soul illusion of a mysterious mutant beast with an indistinct shape lying on the clouds. Suddenly, it swung a claw, and instantly the world seemed to change. The illusion within the jade scroll was much clearer than what Lu Qing had previously transmitted to it through his divine soul. Watching the trajectory of the mysterious beast's claw movement, the dragon turtle once again felt a surge of insights. Understanding that Lu Qing indeed did not deceive it, the dragon turtle was overjoyed. Upon watching the mysterious beast's claw again, it became even more certain of the claw technique's significance to it. If it could fully comprehend it, its realm would surely step further. Realizing this, the dragon turtle didn't feel losing the water spirit pearl was a big deal. After all, without the water spirit pearl, it would merely slow its recovery speed a bit. Its strength wouldn't be significantly affected. At most, it would spend a bit more time recovering. Nothing in this ocean could threaten it anyway. For the dragon turtle clan, time and patience are abundant. On the contrary, the illusion within the jade scroll held great potential to break through the realm bottleneck it had been struggling with for 100,000 years. In this exchange, the dragon turtle felt like it had profited rather than lost. Senior dragon turtle, due to my limited realm, the inheritance illusions inscribed in the jade scroll can only be accessed 10 times at most, so please use them wisely. At this moment, Lu Qing's voice sounded. 10 times, huh? The dragon turtle paused for a moment. It had already sensed this earlier. Each time an illusion in the jade scroll was explored, it would fade a little. Evidently, this was not a permanent inheritance. But it understood. Creating such illusionary inheritance jade scrolls was not a simple task. Each demonstration of the illusion consumed a portion of divine soul power. Even if it were to make such inheritance jade scrolls itself, it couldn't avoid this phenomenon. So it knew Lu Qing was not mocking it and was telling the truth. However, 10 times was quite sufficient. The dragon turtle's claw tightened a bit. Given its realm, if it couldn't comprehend after studying a cultivation technique 10 times, it would mean it was not destined for it. Moreover, from the sensation triggered by the claw technique, it might not even need 10 times to grasp its mysteries. Indeed, only 10 times. Due to my limited realm, the inscribed inheritance illusions can only reach this level. However, if Senior needs to draw insights after using all 10 opportunities, you may use this communication jade token to contact me. Then, Lu Qing flicked out another jade token, sending it downward. The dragon turtle caught the jade token, feeling somewhat astonished. In its countless years, it was the first time a human had given it a communication jade token. Even during the last cultivation era, the 2 human primordial spirit realm individuals it knew primarily regarded it with caution. Gazing deeply at Lu Qing, the dragon turtle didn't say anything and stored the jade token. While it was confident that it could gain insights before the inheritance jade scroll's uses were exhausted, there's always a chance, if it couldn't break through its bottleneck, it would still need this young man. Seeing the dragon turtle accept the communication jade token, Lu Qing showed a slight smile. This dragon turtle was clearly the ruler of this sea region. If he could foster a good relationship with it, it would undoubtedly be beneficial for him. The endless deep sea had always been a forbidden zone difficult for the human race to explore. No one knew what treasures lay hidden beneath. This was a great opportunity. If he could build a favorable relationship with the old dragon turtle, who knows, he might have a chance to explore the endless deep sea. Even more crucially, Lu Qing was quite interested in the bloodline of the old dragon turtle. It was related to the bloodline of the ancestor dragon, a beast from the 9 tribulations. If he could obtain some of it, it would be greatly beneficial for him. Of course, this wasn't something to be rushed. Senior, now that matters here are settled, I won't disturb your cultivation and will take my leave. Thus, Lu Qing activated the golden small boat beneath his feet, transforming into a streak of golden light and flying away with the colorful winged snake. The dragon turtle squinted its large eyes, staring at Lu Qing's departing figure without any action. Once Lu Qing had disappeared, it slowly sank into the sea and headed towards the deep sea. Lu Qing's presence made it realize that despite surviving the previous cultivation era, it wasn't necessarily invincible. Therefore, in the days to come, it should continue its cautious and low-profile cultivation. This had always been the cultivation philosophy upheld by the Dragon Turtle clan. It was a clan motto passed down from the ancestor. Even with the spiritual energy recovery, it remained hidden in the deep sea without venturing out. With its bloodline inheritance, it knew the truth. There's always a higher realm beyond, people beyond. Even if one could become invincible within one world, beyond that world are countless even stronger beings. Like the being whose mere trace of bloodline gave birth to the Dragon Turtle clan's great existence. The sea churned and gradually returned to tranquility, as if nothing had happened. No one knew of the titanic encounter that occurred here. Riding the golden small boat, Lu Qing flew nonstop and soon returned to Jili village. As he arrived home, the sky was just at dusk. This journey to the depths of the East Sea had taken less than a day. "Ah, Qing, you're back." Little Li sensed Lu Qing's presence and immediately rushed over. Little Yen was also home at the moment. "Yes, I'm back." Lu Qing appeased the 2 little ones and returned to the quiet room, taking out the water spirit pearl. Chapter 740. Spiritual pearls gathered, 5-colored spirit light. Finally, I've gathered the 5 spiritual beads. Holding the water spirit pearl in his palm, Lu Qing couldn't help but feel a bit emotional. After all, it's him. Even if someone else were in the Golden Core realm or even the Primordial Spirit realm, they would likely struggle to gather these 5 spiritual beads. These 5 spiritual beads fell into the hands of various strong cultivators. Whether it's the Cold Water Palace or the 3rd Saint Master, obtaining the spiritual beads from them isn't easy. Especially the old dragon turtle, if it weren't for catching it off guard and having exactly what it wanted in hand. Even for a genuine primordial spirit realm cultivator, it would be difficult to take the water spirit pearl from it. With the old dragon turtle's skills, as long as it's in the sea, no one could really do anything to it. After appreciating it for a while, Lu Qing released his divine soul power, probing into the water spirit pearl. Since the old dragon turtle had completely erased the divine soul mark within, he easily left his own divine soul mark at the core of the water spirit pearl. After fully refining it, the water spirit pearl instantly turned into a stream of light, flying into the acupoint at the center of Lu Qing's forehead, heading towards the middle of the acupoint space. At the same time, the other spiritual beads, as if having a mutual understanding, made room for it, allowing it to merge in. The water spirit pearl smoothly entered, beginning to orbit around the earth spirit pearl, following a mysterious trajectory. The gold, wood, water, and fire spiritual beads revolved slowly around the earth spirit pearl like stars, following a mysterious path. After several circles, the 5 spiritual beads suddenly trembled in unison, establishing a mysterious connection between them. A sense of perfect harmony emerged from them. The 5 spiritual beads were closely connected like a whole. With the 5 elements complete, the 5 colors intertwined, invisible waves spread, and their power greatly increased. Especially the earth spirit pearl at the center, which emitted a faint yellow glow, swelling in size abruptly. Then, the light waves emitted by the other 4 spiritual beads also surged into the earth spirit pearl. Lu Qing watched the whole process attentively. He was very much looking forward to the effects after gathering the 5 spiritual beads. Upon seeing the light waves from the other 4 spiritual beads surge into the Earth Spirit Pearl, immediately he felt a huge shock in his heart and spirit. His own divine soul began to strengthen rapidly, as if it had consumed some great tonic. The divine soul talisman nestled within the Earth Spirit Pearl also shone brilliantly. The entire acupoint space at his forehead underwent dramatic changes. After a long time, when the acupoint at the center of his forehead calmed down, Lu Qing sensed that his divine soul power had at least increased several-fold. The acupoint space also transformed, not only becoming incredibly stable. The whole space was even suffused with a faint purple hue. Even the divine soul talisman in the Earth Spirit Pearl emitted a faint purple light, appearing noble and mysterious. A purple forehead acupoint? When Lu Qing sensed this scene, he was momentarily stunned. Because, according to the cultivation technique inheritance he obtained, it seemed that only the forehead acupoint of a primordial spirit realm expert would glow purple. And he was merely in the second transition of the Golden Core realm, yet he had already reached this stage. This indicated that after this transformation, the stability of his forehead acupoint space had nearly reached the level of the primordial spirit realm. And my divine soul power. Lu Qing sensed his divine soul power, showing an astonished expression. Initially, he had condensed a perfect golden core, so the strength of his divine soul already far exceeded that of cultivators in the same realm. Now, after gathering the 5 spiritual beads, his divine soul power had surged several times again. Currently, strictly speaking in terms of the strength of divine soul power, Lu Qing estimated it was not much inferior to cultivators above the 7th transition of the Golden Core realm. Moreover, he could feel this wasn't the limit. What he just experienced was merely the most intense transformation. Now, the 5 spiritual beads were still nourishing his divine soul, causing his divine soul power to slowly grow. However, the rate of growth was much slower than before. He also felt that his physical body had strengthened quite a bit during this transformation. But it was still much weaker compared to the transformation of the divine soul. So that's it, these 5 spiritual beads were born from the 5 elements origin of this world. They inherently contain the power of law origin. With the 5 spiritual beads complete, the 5 elements gathered, circulating endlessly, they serve as the best nourishment for exotic treasures. Not only can they nourish the divine soul and physical body, increasing the power of both, they also possess extremely strong defensive effects, no inferior to any defensive spiritual artifact. Lu Qing felt all sorts of mysteries surfacing in his heart as he gazed at the 5 spiritual beads within his forehead acupoint space, slowly rotating as one. He opened his palm, and a brilliant weave of 5 colors appeared in his hand. Once the light emerged, the surrounding space began to distort. With the 5 spiritual beads collected, he also gained a new method, which was this 5-colored light. This light possessed extremely formidable power. With the convergence of the 5 elements, it could destroy all things and even have a significant impact on space. Any ordinary cultivator in the Golden Core realm, if struck by this, might explode on the spot. This 5-colored light indeed seems to have a hint of the legendary 5-colored divine light's power. Lu Qing looked at the 5-colored light in his hand, muttering to himself. He recalled certain myths and legends from his past life. However, although this 5-colored light was powerful, using it consumed an enormous amount of spiritual power. Even now, condensing it, he could feel his spiritual energy surging out like a flood, being rapidly consumed. If used with full force with his current cultivation, he feared that after just a few uses, his spiritual energy would be entirely depleted. So, while this 5-colored light was formidable, it could only be kept as a trump card, not to be used lightly. But Lu Qing was already sufficiently satisfied. Currently, his dantian housed the life-bound magical treasure, the 5 elements gourd, and his forehead acupoint had the 5 elements spiritual pearls. These 2 exotic treasures, one enhancing the physical body and the other the divine soul, had an immensely nourishing effect on him, deepening his potential. Not only could they accelerate his cultivation speed, but they also perfectly protected his physical body and divine soul. With these two exotic treasures enhancing him, even if encountering a true primordial spirit realm, he likely wouldn't be without the power to resist. It was not in vain for him to have gone to such lengths to collect these 5 spiritual beads. Of course, these great benefits do not come without a price. As Lu Qing's physical body and divine soul potential increased again, it also meant that each level advancement would demand even more spiritual energy. And with the current concentration of spiritual energy in this world, it would be more challenging to satisfy his cultivation needs. It seems that in the future, I will have to retreat to the holy mountain more often. Lu Qing couldn't help but sigh. Although the spiritual energy around Jili village was quite dense, sufficient for ordinary cultivators in the Golden Core realm, for him it was still too limited. Even after gathering the 5 spiritual beads and his potential increasing again, even the spiritual Vaneland beneath Long Hatred Mountain would barely be adequate for him. The only place that could temporarily meet his cultivation needs was probably the Holy Mountain Cave Mansion.